to Horror Hangout, a podcast where three bearded film fans watch the best worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Kondo with Kate. I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, plural, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And a Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, guys. Oh, yeah.
How are you doing?
Hello. We were quite downbeat in comparison to your intro there, Luke, where you sounded like a YouTube host who's definitely on cocaine.
Yes. If you hear me sniffing, it's actually not the cocaine. This time it's the hay fever, which has been a true horror of the past week. It's like the worst it's ever been. Yeah.
It has been really bad.
Does everybody suffer? I know you suffer real bad, Luke.
I didn't. I was cured, but this year's it's come back like Tupac. It's all over me. Ruined.
Famously back, Mr. Tupac. Did you guys get those wipes for your eyes? I saw them. Did you buy some?
I've not.
No, I haven't.
Basically, baby wipes for your eyes. It looks like. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying they're pretty much saved their lives. So
saved their lives.
Saved their life. I keep acting like I work for this company. I don't even know what company it is. But get some baby wipes for your eyes. Hay fever sufferers.
Is this our sponsor pitch for this week?
Yeah,
so we've tried cakes, we've tried VPNs in the past. If you are selling allergy wipes, nothing better target audience wise than podcast listeners, I imagine.
Hay fever eye hole wipes. Wipe the shit out of your eye holes, you twats.
It will tie into this episode. There's some guys in this film towards the end who got some really bad allergies in their eyes, all red-eyed and
maybe that's why they're so grumpy.
Itchy. Yeah, they're after some baby wipes.
So grumpy, you would be though, wouldn't you? You just be like, what's the point in living?
Yeah, you can't make any sound.
It does feel like that sometimes
because of monsters, and now I've got allergies as well. Oh, fuck's sake, why?
Bloody hell, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Should we go straight into some horror news?
yeah, we've done the random aside section of the show.
Yep, that bit's done. Tick. Part of the show, my favorite part of the show. Done. So for horror news, there's a few little bits and bobs this week that I've seen. I don't know if you guys saw any of the E3 stuff, but one of the things that jumped out at me on Nintendo's E3, Nintendo Direct, there is going to be a new Fatal Frame game.
Oh yeah,
Fatal Frame game.
Is it a remake of the Wii U one? A remaster?
So it's So last mainline spooky entry was seemingly lost to the ill-fated Wii U, but fret not. Fatal Frame, Maiden of Blackwater, is coming to Nintendo Switch this year. It was originally released in 2014, but obviously, now a little remake. How do you guys feel about these games? These are pretty spooky, aren't they? The old.
I don't think I've played this one.
It's great. It's really good. It's terrifying.
I've played some of one. I don't think I've ever owned one of them, but I've played some. But it's pretty terrifying, spooky, ghostly stuff. And I think you're in a mountain area, Hikami Mountain, and there's ghosts, which obviously you can only defend yourself against with bloody camera.
Yeah, ghosts do not like having their photos taken, famously.
Yeah.
So, to be fair, being facetious, it is a magical camera that damages them spiritually. You can snap them with some special film and get rid of them. But the first game in the series is incredibly intense. It was one of those I remember getting on the PS2 back in the day.
Oh yeah,
and
PS2.
It was one that you got it, and then I think I played the opening section of it several times, just showing different of my friends, like, have a go at this. It's like you're running a demo. Like, have a go at this. It's horrible, isn't it? And then I don't think I finished it. I think I did like the opening 40 minutes like about 5 times and never finished the game.
Yeah, I think it was like that. Just too scary to play. Dead Space never got past the first.
Dead Space,
I know.
It's so good. It's so good.
Imagine a remake. Well, a remake or just a new installment of Dead Space would be absolutely bloody lovely.
Yeah.
I'll be all over that.
It was Back for Blood, which looks like Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it does pretty much look like Left 4 Dead, doesn't it? Is it linked to that in any way?
I don't think so. Has it got any of the same developers that don't work for Valve anymore?
It's possible,
it just says a spiritual successor to Valve's zombie shooter made by the original developers, Turtle Rock.
Okay. Oh, there you go. So, I'm up for that. Maybe we could
I pretty much missed out.
Get on the socials group and get some guys playing when it comes out.
Yeah, sounds cool. I'll be for that.
I pretty much missed out on Left 4 Dead entirely because it was just Xbox, wasn't it?
Xbox PC, was it?
Yeah, but I missed out. I missed out completely. I mean, I think
really,
I remember
really good.
Yeah, I remember seeing like it looked really intense, and all the different types of zombie enemies were pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, that Metroid game looks like it's quite horror-ish.
Yeah, it does. It looks like you're being pursued.
Dread.
Metroid Dread. Yeah, so it looks like you're being pursued by something for sections of the game, some sort of robot thing, and so it does look very horror, but it looks really cool. I like the look of it.
Love
again,
E3. Love it.
Oh yes, there are some pretty. I think that was it for kind of like horror looking stuff. Everything
12
else.
12 minutes is like a crime thriller. It's about a guy. It's like sort of hi-fi mystery business. It's about a guy stuck in a 12-minute time loop, and there's like a murder at the house. Looks really interesting. Looks great.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. The guy, the kind of creative director or something like that, who made Inside and Limbo, has a new game coming out called Somerville.
That looks great. That looks really good.
It looks like an evolution of Inside in sort of the style and the way the game works. But it's like you're some sort of family, and there's an alien invasion, and it looks kind of crazy. Yeah, it's got a bit of a Signs vibe to it. But I love Inside and Limbo, so if anything like that is
such good games. They're such good games. And of course, Ben, how could we let it go? There wasn't a video for it, but official announcement that they're working on Resident Evil Village DLC.
Yeah, so there wasn't really much other than we've heard from fans that you want DLC, so we're going to make some DLC.
We've heard from our corporate offices that DLC is essential, so we're making some.
Obviously, it's great, and it will be great because I love the Resident Evil 7 DLC stuff that they did. These little standalone stories and special little levels. A bit frustrating we didn't get any Resident Evil 3 remake DLC at all. Nothing. Yeah. Not even like extra game modes or anything like that. That's a bit frustrating.
They put the online thing with it that I certainly didn't engage with.
I think I deleted it. It was taking too much space. I think I'll give it a go at some point. It looks kind of fun. You can play as Jack Baker from the.
Is Reverse out already?
Yeah, it downloaded when I got the last one. I haven't switched it on, but it downloaded when I got.
Okay, I thought it'd been delayed, so I'll have to double check that. Also, obviously, this week as well, the Dead by Daylight Resident Evil characters and level got added. Not had a chance to play it yet, but I've watched some little playthroughs. It looks cool. If you enjoyed the format of Dead by Daylight, and you enjoy Resident Evil, or maybe just one of those, I think it looks like a good time. Playing as one or t'other, and playing as Nemesis, being able to shoot out your old tentacle.
Did you
Absolutely
see
delightful?
Lance Reddick posted an image of the Resident Evil TV show.
Do you know what, Luke? That's the next horror news bit I've got.
Well, so, lean in and listen.
So take the floor if you like.
Oh, I've said all I know. I will say. So it's looking. My Riverdale hackles raised a little bit.
I know exactly what you mean.
No, it's not going to be about who Wesker is taking to prom, is it?
So
Chris Redfield will punch someone and say, "Welcome to the OC, bitch," because that's where Raccoon City is now.
I wasn't sure if there was going to be a link between the films and the TV series. I was kind of hoping that there would be some sort of link, almost like I thought that would be really cool. You know, if it, almost like a Resident Evil universe. With TV shows and films, but obviously no, completely different because Lance Reddick is playing Albert Wesker in this one, and it's the guy from Umbrella Academy whose name I've forgotten, who's playing Wesker in the movies. So clearly not connected.
Is it the big ape man from Umbrella Academy?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I can picture that.
So yeah, obviously it looks like a very young cast for the TV show, and I know it's focused on the Wesker children. So. Yeah, I hope it doesn't skimp on the horror, and I hope we don't get some young adult / teen version of Resident Evil because, that would be disappointing.
Yeah.
All I care about in my Bertie Wesker casting is he's got to look good in a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah.
I mean, Lance Reddick
changes sunglasses every time.
Yeah.
I've seen I did an image search, like Lance Reddick sunglasses. There's a few pictures of him out there. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Great character actor, and also the last thing I saw him in or experienced him in was Horizon Zero Dawn. And he was great. His voice in your ear pretty much like the whole game. So yeah, I can understand how he would work as a protagonist. Or it depends what they're going to do with it, because obviously if he's like one of the main characters, is he just going to be like a shady dad guy who's like,
I think
on
shady
the surface,
dad guy.
On the surface, he seems like a nice guy, but as they start doing some digging, they realize he's the Resident Evil. He's living in their house.
Oh, and he lives there, and he's bad. Evil. Yeah.
He was the Resident Evil all along.
Really gutted, Ben, if it turns out it's gone totally YA and it's not even Ghoulies and Monsters anymore. He's just Resident Evil. He's their dad and he's having an affair or something. Or he's like a 90s bad dad, like in an Arnold Schwarzenegger comedy where like, spends too much time at the office, forgets your Christmas present, that kind of bad dad.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be as scary as the Demon Headmaster.
That's like 10 out of 10 scary.
Oh, maybe when we were like 5. I don't know if it is now.
Oh, have you watched it recently?
No, to be fair, no. Couldn't bring myself to do it.
Demon Headmaster would be one of the main villains. If I ever was to get infinite like IP licenses to make a CITV Avengers, the Demon Headmaster would be like.
We've done this before. We've gone through this, haven't we? We've gone through this in detail. Who knows what episode it was?
Probably, I don't know, either on here or on Twitter, maybe. But definitely Penny Crayon, Bernard's Watch, Neil Buchanan, Art Attack, all those bad boys.
Is he CITV or was he BBC?
Who's that?
Brum.
I don't know. It feels like an ITV guy, does Brum?
Brum. Yeah, and the only other Resident Evil thing is obviously that Resident Evil Infinite Darkness starts on July the 8th, and I think they release like, I don't know, the opening scene or something like that. I hate when I've never usually got any interest in that sort of stuff. I think I will hold on
because it's too long for a YouTube video, not a whole episode. So I'm like, 8 minutes holding my phone like this. No thanks.
Yeah.
See you later. See you on release day.
Yeah. All the best. See you later now. Okay, and that's pretty much it for horror news. The only other thing I saw was that Catherine Bigelow's Near Dark, the 1987 vampire movie, is getting a new restoration and release from Studio Canal. So I don't know how you guys feel about that film. I've definitely seen it, but I remember pretty much nothing about it apart from the fact that what's his name's in it? Lance Hendrickson.
Yeah.
And who else? Someone else.
As well as a few people in it, I think. But
it's got a whole cast of people in it.
I don't know if I've ever seen it. And it's one I've been trying to watch for ages, but I don't think there's like an actual release of it, is there? Or it seems to be really difficult to get a hold of.
I've never seen it. I will look forward to this. The good folks at Studio Canal giving me the opportunity.
Yeah. It could be one for a future episode. At some point. So yeah, very nice. There we go. That's it for horror news, pretty much.
Well, in terms of what we've been watching, I'll jump straight in because the Resident Evil Riverdale thing and the YA-ification of Resident Evil is probably something I've been watching this week. The Netflix adaptation of Sweet Tooth. Have you seen it? Yeah. Do you know much about it? Are you Sweet Tooth
I know
fans?
a little about it, but I was going to try and read the comic first, but it looks great.
Yeah. Well, the Sweet Tooth comic book, I think, is up there with the best 50-issue runs of comic books. Like it's drawn by Jeff Lemire, who's like a superstar writer these days, but like he's also got like a really interesting art style. It's quite dark, quite dingy, post-apocalyptic. The TV it's such a great comic book. I recommend anyone to watch it. The TV show is not the same thing, like at all. I mean, I'm still kind of enjoying it, but it's I don't know how to describe it. It is very much like a YA Netflix adaptation. Whatever that springs in your mind, that's what they've done. It's dead easy to watch, but it seems to have lost a ton of the kind of gritty, the grittiness that's in there in the book, the gritty weirdness that's in the comic book, and it's replaced it with. It's a bit more like family friendly. Love and Monsters.
Yeah,
it feels a bit more. Is that more like that kind of vibe?
And that wasn't what you were. That wasn't what you were hoping for when you heard of an adaptation coming.
Well, to be honest, I wasn't hoping for anything. I've got the graphic novel, so I mean, that's never going to take that away. And it's nice to see Jeff Lemire is getting like a adaptation. He's going to be on a bigger stage now. I hope people watch this and go and read the comic books because they are so good. The other thing they put a lot of in this adaptation is like tons of like I don't know what the genre of music is, but it's kind of like post-rock folk music. It's quite atmospheric. You know, no one goes, I'm not going to sing actually, but I'll link you up afterwards. But there's tons of like just big shots of American countryside and this kind of pop music. And I mean, that's not really what I had in mind with Sweet Tooth, but it's fun. It's still very easy to watch. I'll say that.
It's kind of on my back burner list. Like, you know, if I'm housebound for a while, maybe I'll get round to watching it, but it's not on my like rush list or anything like that.
It's being pushed. Yeah. It's being pushed. I've seen so much advertising for it.
It's on the front page and stuff like that, isn't it?
Main front page, yeah.
Yeah.
Worth a shot. Anything else at all from anybody?
I got a trial for the Arrow video player service, which the Arrow Video do like an amazing Blu-ray range and lots of cult movies and stuff. I don't think their uptick for their Arrow player has been quite as much as big as like maybe what Shudder has. I think the range that Arrow has is actually a lot better. Like it's quite amazing. There's tons of stuff that I've been meaning to try and watch for ages that I've been really struggling to find, but it's all there on Arrow. They've got all the kind of weird culty Tsukamoto movies. The guy did Bullet Ballet and all this crazy stuff. It's got loads of like the weirder, more obscure cult stuff. Maybe less of the modern stuff that Shudder has.
I'll pause there before you finish that thought, Luke. I mean, you've factually stated what is on the platform, but before you formally recommend it, have a little think, Arrow Video, if you're listening. Luke could finish that sentence with a hearty recommendation, maybe a little trial code, but you know, you got to come talk to us.
That's not a bad idea. I'll get in touch.
We're assuming everyone we mentioned is definitely listening to the podcast. I mean, they definitely are.
Yeah, Lee Winnell, he listens.
Lee Winnell. I'm just having a look now, and there is quite a lot of stuff on there. I've just signed up to the newsletter. So I think if it's worth a. Is there a trial? Can you get a trial?
Yes, 30-day trial.
Oh,
so it's the really big trial, massive trial.
Yeah,
big trial. We won't say whether that's a good or a bad thing, though. Unfortunately, we're not.
Oh, there's a whole
paid to do that.
There's a whole Asia. Oh, there's a whole Asia Extreme section.
Yeah. Well, I've been for ages trying to watch Takashi Kitano movies. The guy, from
he's in Battle Royale and Takeshi's Castle.
He's in Takeshi's Castle.
It's his castle.
It's not, is it?
He is associated with Takeshi's Castle for real.
No.
He's in it. I mean, he's sometimes in it. You'll see him at the end.
Luke's just outright said no, but I'm kind of like just laugh. I'm not sure if you're joking or not, but I'm open to it.
Right, you carry on. I'm going to look this up.
Here we go. Let me Google that for you. Is what's happening right now.
But
looks.
They'd be really difficult movies to find and watch. I mean, maybe they're not on Amazon. I don't know. But they're all there. They're all there on that Arrow player.
Yeah.
Which could be a good thing, or might not be a good thing.
On my screen here? No, it's gonna blur.
Just tell us. We'll believe you.
There is a picture of him outside Takeshi's castle,
and it's his castle.
Beat Takeshi is.
What an interesting crossover of genres.
Well, he started off as a comedian,
as a castle owner.
Castle owner. That's how he got his start in the world, as a lowly castle owner.
And every week he would challenge people to come and break into his castle, and his Emerald Guard would repel them, and an unwinnable dodgem race at the end.
Oh my God! Takeshi's Castle, the Japanese game, should air between 1986 and 1990 on the Tokyo Broadcasting System. It features the Japanese comedian Takeshi Kitano, also known as Beat Takeshi, as a count who owns a castle. It actually is Takeshi Kitano.
I told you.
He completely.
I make up, this was not one of them.
It sounds like some bullshit. honestly,
just an observer. But Luke definitely just called you out and just was just like, bullshit.
But now I can make up anything and you won't be able to. Like, oh no.
What I want to see is a smug. I want to see a smug face from Andy that he's right. Very smug. If you're listening,
your nostrils.
Just the audio, he looks very smug.
Hay fever.
Yeah.
Don't flare them. Anything could go up there.
I can't believe it. He is Takeshi of the castle.
You learn something new every single day when you do a horror movie podcast.
Yeah.
If you're a casting director and a local castle owner turns up, you take their audition.
100%. Anything else? What you've been watching? Have you seen much, Andy? Unless Luke's not finished.
All done.
All done.
Other than that, I'm playing more Days Gone.
Yum yum. Oh.
No, nothing special here. Just watch the film of the week. It's been nice to be back in the cinema, but then just casually watching non-horror items. Bit of Parks and Recreation. We're working through that on the downtime at the minute, but
that is good.
Otherwise, busy doing a little bit of writing, cross podcast promotion for those that listen to both. The writing team that work on the other stories have started on the Halloween edition. Yeah, that's right. When summertime rolls around, any good horror writer, their mind turns to Halloween, and that's what we're
spooky
working on right
happens.
Now. Ben's
Very
involved.
exciting.
He's all across it.
I'm all over it, mate. I'm in it. I'm on it. I'm involved. Very excited.
Yeah. So that is good spooky stuff, but it does limit my my horror movie time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've only seen a couple of things this week. I saw Exorcist: The Beginning, which is on Netflix. It kind of just popped up, and I was like, "Oh God, I haven't seen that for a long time." Because I remember seeing it around about the time it released, and yeah, it's way more tedious than I remembered.
Is it like a YA thing? It's what's his name now? It's not Pyman, is it? No, he's what's the demon in The Exorcist?
Pazuzu.
Pazuzu, like at college, and it's wondering if he's going to go to prom with. It's all YA.
It's not that much of a beginning, in the same sense that we went The Nun. The beginning.
Oh, it just is.
It just is. That's pretty much it. But I think Exorcist: The Beginning is the story of what's his name, Father Merrin, rather than the actual demon. It takes place like in World War II, in Africa. Yeah, it's really slow, and some of the I won't spoil the ending, but like the imagery that the finale relies on is so heavily influenced by like the Exorcist movie. It just doesn't make sense. It just like
why some more stairs.
Why would this person look like? Do you know what I mean? It's just silly. And there's some really dodgy green screen I kept noticing. Just like, why is that green screen? It was just odd. Yeah, so not great. I think if you're a completionist and you want to go, I've watched all the Exorcist movies. Have you seen Exorcist: The Beginning? Yeah. Then
speaking of completionists, Ben, have you watched Cradle of Life this week?
No. Oh wait. Yeah. Did I say? Yeah. yeah. Did I not discuss it last time? Did I discuss the first one?
You just watched the first one. And it's Basement Jack's.
So I think the reason I got confused then was because I think I watched it the same night as we podcast last week. So long time ago, it feels like.
So we hung up, said goodnight, and then straight on to the Cradle of Life.
Cradle of Life is pretty naff. I feel like everything that is good about Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft in the original is just not here in this film. The story really does suck. There's like the most cookie cutter villain ever. So the villain in the first Tomb Raider, evil British guy. The villain in the second Tomb Raider, eviler British guy.
Eviler.
Evil British.
He's eviler, is he? He thinks he's evil. Jared Butler's in it as like sidekick / love interest, and I think it just doesn't work. It really doesn't. And there's supposed to be like a big dramatic moment between the two of them, and I was like, I honestly couldn't give a flying fuck about either of you. Yeah, so that's that. And the only other thing I saw this week, I've been listening to a lot of The Doors this week, and I fancied watching the Oliver Stone biopic from 1991 with Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison. It's quite long. It's a bit pretentious. I think if you don't like The Doors or know much about The Doors, this isn't a good film to get you into The Doors, because it does come across as a bit pretentious. But still, I think Val Kilmer is pretty much perfect as Jim Morrison. It's definitely one of those, when you're watching a biopic and you go, if I just squint my eyes a little bit, that looks pretty much like that person. So yeah, I'd recommend that. Just it's quite trippy, and I think that's kind of the as a cinematic experience, and I guess that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
And I'll just sign off with one more thing, considering we started with gaming. I watched Console Wars, which is all about Nintendo versus Sega in the 90s, documentary, which is on, I think it's on Prime. But yeah, it's pretty good. It's kind of like the suits do most of the talking in this one. It's like all of the corporate dudes are talking about the money and the bloody suits. So there's not really much input from actual gamers, so it feels a bit hollow for that reason.
What was your household growing up? Or because you're both younger than me, you're both going to say PlayStation?
Sega.
No,
Sega Mega Drive 2.
Sega.
Yes.
Sega Mega
houses.
Drive, yeah. The first Nintendo console I ever owned was a GameCube.
Yeah, same. GameCube.
And then 64 a little bit later in its life cycle. But yeah, Sega all the way. Either of you guys have a Dreamcast?
No, I don't think so. I think I went from Mega Drive 2 to PlayStation.
Yeah, and a Mega Drive 2. I got a Dreamcast. The world wasn't ready for Dreamcast.
I still don't know the difference between a Mega Drive 1 and 2. It just had red buttons.
Yeah, red buttons. Nicer shape.
Yeah.
Was that pretty much it? It was still the same.
I think it had better sound output at the back. Like aficionados will correct me, I'm sure, but
there's some stuff about this
composite wire or something like that rather than a standard aerial.
Mm-hmm.
There's some stuff about the Sega Saturn in this as well, which is quite cool. It got me watching old Angry Video Game Nerd episodes where he was playing Sega Saturn stuff and Dreamcast stuff and that.
I don't think I've ever even touched a Saturn controller. They were so rare. They weren't really a huge thing here. I remember really wanting a 30. I really wanted a 32X. And my cousin had a Mega CD. Yeah, that's the one that you plugged into the cartridge slot on the Mega Drive. It went on top.
Yeah.
And then there were like 15 games for it. You could play Knuckles Chaotix on it.
Oh man.
And then I got a Dreamcast, and Dreamcast was too good for this world. What a machine. But failed.
It was too good for this world. Everyone's got such great memories of the Dreamcast. It's almost upsetting that it never did as well as it probably should have. There we go. That's that. Yeah. That's me done. Apart from this week's movie, which I saw like, I guess last week I went to see this.
2-3 weeks ago now.
I saw it on Monday. Didn't you have a big double bill, Luke? Didn't you go and see like Quiet Place and The Conjuring on the same day?
Not the same day. I think they were day after each other. Adjacent X days. What was the other one? I watched all of the films we've done this month so far.
Oh, in like Spiral, the Book of Saw.
The Book of Saw, yeah.
The Book of Saw. So this is the end of like a little run of us doing new releases.
Probably triptych of new releases. Yeah.
What? Army of the Dead before that as well.
Yeah.
A quadrich.
Probably the longest run on this podcast that we've done in new releases. But I think they were all backed up, weren't they, from not getting released? That they all just came flooding out at the same time as soon as the tubes were cleared.
Then we've got a little rest on new content, unless you want to do Washington Heights next week, guys. But a little break until we get to the Candyman, I guess.
Oh yeah, a little while.
Not long though. Right. It's right around the corner. Is the Candyman?
When is it?
It's July, is it?
Good question.
It's soon.
Was that your belly then, or was it a dog?
No, it's my stomach full of tea.
Full of crisps.
Had a visitor come to hang out with us a little bit this afternoon, and because I was coming off to record, thought it'd be a good idea just to go and drink some tinnies of cocktail in the park. So
sounds great.
Nice.
It's nice. I bet you're nice and hyped for this.
I am
podcast. Pumped. So
what kind of cocktails?
A couple of tinnies of passion fruit mojito, one of gin and tonic, and one of Archers and lemonade. We got a random selection, just did lucky dip in a bag.
I love a good lucky
couple
dip.
Of tinnies of cocktail.
All tinnies couple down of the tinnies. Park,
yeah. A couple of tinnies down the park. Oh, what's that special brew? No, lovely G&T. Don't take me for a fool. Okay, so this week's movie is A Quiet Place Part 2. And that's a 2021 American horror film and the sequel to the 2018 film A Quiet Place. It's written, produced, and directed by John Krasinski under the studio Paramount Pictures. That's not important. Forget that. We know that. What's going on? Who's in it? Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmonds, Noah Jupe, Cillian Murphy, and how do you say his name? Djimon Hounsou. Terrible. Sorry. So this one is following the events at home. So it pretty much like follows on directly from the first movie.
Yeah, like moments after, right?
Yeah, the Abbott family and before. Yeah. The Abbott family now face the terrors of the outside world. Forced to venture into the unknown, they realize the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats lurking beyond the sand path. There's also stones on the floor when they're walking barefoot. Ow.
Yeah. Walking
barefoot, right? You can throw your shoes away.
Yeah. Little pebbles.
I reckon I could still be
sharp grass.
I reckon I could still be
stood on a nail today. So yeah, wear your shoes.
Yeah.
Jesus. I reckon I could still be pretty quiet, walk around in slippers.
Cillian Murphy's got his boots on, he's all right.
Yeah. Has he? Yeah, come on, guys.
When she sends him out after the kid later in the movie, he's like, I'll go, and he goes, all right.
He's got cowboy boots with spurs
on. Wear my shoes
on.
because I'm sensible. A couple of pair of Steelies he's walking about in. He's all right.
Yeah, good times.
Pair of Steelies, that's a nickname for his amazing eyes, I think, as well. They look so good through the screen.
And his testicles.
Pair of Steelies.
He gets kicked in the nuts all the time and he never reacts. He's got a pair of Steelies.
Really toughened up. I guess we're talking cast already. Like everyone in this, I thought does a very, very good job.
Mm-hmm. Even John Krasinski is only in it for the first 10 minutes or so. I was going to say, Scoot McNairy's in this. I didn't realize at the time. Scoot McNairy is the guy from Monsters. You probably recognize. So he was the Marina Man, the leader of the group of dangerous feral humans.
Oh, Red Eyes.
Oh, Red Eyes, Captain Red Eyes.
Was that really him?
Scoot McNairy, yeah.
He was unrecognizable.
He's got such a recognizable face as well.
Not for a second.
Yeah.
Not for a second did I think it was him. That's
the allergies are kicking his ass.
Yeah, now you need to
apocalypse.
You just need to always be on the lookout for Scoot McNairy now, because you never know when he's going to be popping up in a film.
You never know when he's going to scoot on by. Have you got any letterbox bits?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so ratings and scores. IMDb has it at 7.8. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 91% critic score, 93% audience score, pretty high. Letterboxd at 3.8, not as high. Okay, so some choice reviews from Letterboxd. Ed wrote too loud, half a star. He wasn't into it. It's too loud for him. Alex Olivier.
Is that one of those bloody monsters? They don't like the noise at all. Very sensitive ears.
Alex Olivier said, like being spoon-fed flavorless gruel, I cannot conjure even the mildest compliment to pay this movie. Half a star. Pretty harsh. On the more positive side, Cillian. Cillian's spelled with a K. Don't pass the opportunity to watch it on a cinema unless you're rich and have a badass stereo system. 5 stars. He was really into it. And like, and this next review even says, my first trip back to the cinema since seeing Tenet back in August. I would normally be happy to see anything at the cinema again, but he was so happy that this was the one that he saw. So this was the first film back for a lot of people. I think it was for me, if I've got that the right way around. So it was like an amazing film to see at the cinema. To me, this is a cinema movie more than a laptop.
Yeah.
Movie. How was everybody's cinema experience? Because I was a little bit worried, when it's a really quiet film, sometimes it was quite a full screen for me. I was kind of worried how everyone was going to be in it. But
there wasn't many people in mine, so I don't know.
It was super quiet. It was just us and 2 other people, because we went at like one of those times that's cutting it fine, but just after work finished. So you went at started at 6. So literally finished work, blazed straight down there, and it was us and 2 other people in there. So it was super.
Do you have any knobheads, Ben?
No, it was despite it being full, it was a very respectful cinema experience, especially for something, because there are good long stretches of time in this movie where it is pretty much just silence / inhales /
Do you find that in those moments
adds...
that you don't have any of your, if you've got any snacks or a drink with you, you're not allowed any in that period?
I was doing
a bit
that.
Of popcorn, you're like,
there was no one in the cinema, and I was still like, I can't eat these nuts now. Yeah.
I can't eat this corn on the cob now. No, can't do that.
Big old bag of Doritos, like.
Yeah. Well, you put it in your mouth and you let your saliva do the chewing.
Melt it away. Just like
melt it away, yeah.
Gently press it to the roof of your mouth.
I hate to admit it.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it's probably a bit humiliating, but I'm definitely the kind of person who's eating all their snacks before the film starts.
That happens to me all the time. The drink, if you ever get like a nice refreshing drink, that lasts me the entire 2-hour film. It's gone within the first 10 minutes.
Especially if you're sharing it. Because 2 drinks.
Someone doesn't know they're sharing it. You've got to get in quick.
It feels excessive.
Put your head between the seats and just quickly.
It's got a really long straw.
Take a long straw like a mosquito.
Especially if someone don't know they're sharing it. How have I drank this giant extra large? How do you feel about when people walk into the cinema with those massive drinks where you're just like, that is like a keg? What's wrong with you?
That's what the holes in the seat are built for. Like, the drink holders in the seat are due to accommodate the massive ones. Yeah. So you put a normal size drink in there, like a regular,
and it's rattling around
like it's going to fall out. It's like, no! Oh,
yeah.
Jeez Louise.
I know what you mean.
Stress before the film's even started.
I had a moment
where horrors dropping your drink in the cinema. Oh my God.
I had a moment where I walked into the cinema and the film just kind of was already not starting, but it was getting to the point, and it was the rating of the movie on the screen. It was so dark.
Up there.
It was so dark in there. I could barely see anything. And this happened. Luckily, it didn't properly happen. I went to put my coffee down, but I put it like, instead of in the actual holder, it was like next to it. But I realized at the exact second it was dropping. So I managed to go, hey, oh, no.
That's what Jigsaw would do if he was going to get me. Yeah, like Andy, you've been not spilling your drinks for years. But now,
how selfish.
You'll have to not spill your drink to live.
What? Oh no! Yeah.
This cup holder is an irregular size, and it is pitch black.
I have been enjoying going back to the cinema, but I feel like now I've seen everything. I don't know what's coming out anymore. I don't know when the next trip's going to be. There's like a musical out in the Heights, isn't there, this week?
That looks good, to be fair.
I like a good musical. My cinema doesn't seem to be having like a full schedule at the minute. Like it seems to be having like 1 or 2 movies a day, and they're just picking
the things that they know are going to be like the most successful and just get a good through.
Well, like they didn't even have Book of Saw, which I thought would be a big one to have in.
Maybe they saw the previews, Luke, or heard our review, one or the other.
Probably the latter. Pretty sure.
If you are listening, Cineworld, Mr. Odeon, you're welcome. Put us on the poster. There's a £10 bet riding on it.
Is Odeon Irish? Sorry.
Mr. Odeon.
Took me a second. The old cogs are turning.
I don't think I've brought this up before. But you know, famous singer Pat O'Banton. Yeah. As a child, having never seen his name written down, I assumed his name was Pat space O'Banton, and he was Irish. He's not. He's from Birmingham.
Oh man, we've all been there.
Yeah,
we've all been there.
Deep cuts for the day.
Deep cuts. I love the deeper the cut, the better. So yeah, this film like pretty much starts. So obviously all the same cast. Emily Blunt. New faces. Cillian Murphy's in it now. John Krasinski is in it in like a sort of flashback early sequence.
It starts with that, right? It starts with it jumps back and then it jumps forward, right?
I think it starts like that, doesn't it?
Do we start with day 1, day 0, or whatever it is?
Yeah. And it's got John. Go on.
Should we? I mean, just before that, I guess we'd just say, obviously, it follows on pretty much immediately from the events of the first movie. We reviewed the first film on this podcast. Let's just try and remind ourselves of how we felt on that. I think we were quite lukewarm, weren't we, Luke? Lukewarm. I was Ben Warm. You were lukewarm.
Wow. I mean, I think the thing is, the hype was massive around the first one. People were like, "What's the best one of the best horror movies ever made, and it just wasn't. I'm sorry to say, it was good. It was a good film, but it just wasn't that. I'd be like a B, I think, on it. Yeah. I would say it was very tense, and this film follows on in the same way. Like, it's not hugely plot driven. It's not even hugely character driven, really. I don't think. I think it's hugely tension driven. Like every scene is like
set piece driven. It's
hugely one mission in The Last of Us driven.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. It's kind of how it feels. I was pretty lukewarm on the first one, and then over time, like, started to not hate it, but whenever it got brought up in conversation as like one of the best horror movies of the last number of years, I always used to get a bit annoyed and to say, "Oh, come on, absolutely not."
Yeah, and I think that's the same. I think the hype ate it up a little bit.
The hype ate it up. I think the rules of the world don't quite land for me.
The whiteboard.
What's the weakness? For fuck's sake.
These things are sensitive to sound. Do you reckon at any point anyone went, someone do a really high-pitched noise in their ear, see if they like it? I still don't 100% like the creature design. I still think it feels a bit like
leggy venoms.
Leggy venom.
Yeah.
Old venom, long legs. He's about.
It just feels very CGI. It feels very like it feels very much like plonked in, doesn't it? I mean, in terms of the rules of the threat, I mean, I think it's done a lot better in this film. And I genuinely feel the threat from the creature a lot more because they're intense. Like, the amount of times I kept saying, "Jesus Christ, calm down." They're just like, they just are.
They're pretty manic, aren't they?
They really
manic. Big bag of Skittles.
They really get amongst it. They're just probably not even Skittles, Luke. They've probably gone full. Before, when they were full of E-number Smarties.
Zoomies,
they got their Smarties on, and they just come round, and if you make the slightest noise, they'll just thump you. They'll just come and thump you into a car.
So they are brutal. But I don't know. In the first one, I didn't quite feel the threat as much. I don't know why. I just felt it a bit like, oh, go on, and make a noise, will you? And this one, I was like, shush, don't say a word.
They were definitely like, they were intimidating monsters in the first one, but I think, like you guys, my experience of it was coloured by the hype that came going into it. I was probably made extra bitter by the fact that around the time of release, I also released a comic in which you couldn't talk. They're like, "Oh, it's a bit like Quiet Place." It's like, no, there is no way I've written and produced this entire comic. It takes me quite a long time. So,
my friends kickstarted a short film called Dead Silence like 2 or 3 years before this came out, and then this came out before they even had a chance to finish it. So it's like,
and
there's no way.
It's a bit like A Quiet Place, and you're like, oh no, like.
Oh no! Well, because it came out around about the same time as Bird Box as well, the movie adaptation of Bird Box. So everyone was like, "Oh, in A Quiet Place, you can't say anything, you speak no evil, and in Bird Box, you can't see shite, you can't smell any evil in Bird Box."
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, you're dead. You smelled the shite. You're dead.
Whoever smelt it dealt it. You're the monster.
Yeah,
I think taste things.
With this one, I think the hype had a chance to die down, obviously because of coronavirus and the fact that the release got delayed by like a year. So by the time the film comes out, everyone's a bit like, so what? Come on then, release the film already, will you? And it was people's first time back at the cinema, but I guess it wasn't like everyone just rushed back to the cinema. People were still kind of quite tentative about returning to the big screen. So the hype had been completely wiped out for me. So it was nice to be able to go in there with fresh. I avoided all extra trailers, extra bits, anything like that. Pretty much didn't remember the first trailer I'd seen. So it was all pretty fresh watching it.
Yeah. I don't know, give any hints on the ratings, but I gotta say I preferred this one to the first one so much more. And I'm not too sure if it's just because my expectations are very low. I don't know. I felt like I was more interested in the story. I feel like the creatures felt more threatening. For the adventure out into the world feels more. There's more interesting stuff happening there. There's more allure to it, and also the soundtrack is banging. I absolutely love the soundtrack to this. There's like a really emotional little piece of music in there in the middle. Yeah, I very much enjoyed it.
big Bobby Darin fan.
I don't know if it was the family dynamic in the first film that didn't quite land for me, because there's still elements of that in this film which I don't 100% like, but I think because there is the addition of other characters as well, it almost feels like it's got its place in the film. Whereas I feel like in the first movie, it was everything, wasn't it? The family dynamic was everything.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the fact that you have a bit more of an objective in play this time. You know, we'll come to it because everyone say spoilers upcoming enough times when we start getting to it shortly. But there is an objective and a thing that they're trying to achieve. Whereas in the first one, fundamentally, they are coping with a tragedy that happens in the cold open. They are really trying to survive. Like they're not going anywhere. There isn't an end or beginning point in the thrust of the film. It is the particular occasion that, you know, this day that things all go wrong, but it's not like it's fixed when they get to the next day, or it's any less dangerous than the previous day. And you know, you get in a bit of trouble when you knock the lamp over when you're having a game of fuzzy felt Monopoly. But like now,
I don't even remember what happened. Sorry, go on.
Oh, the biggest mistake anyone makes in the Quiet Place world is have a blooming baby. Can't be more careful. Having a baby in this time.
Putting a baby in a little soundproof coffin. What a way to live. What are your first memories of being a baby? Pitch black, dark.
In a gas mask.
In a gas mask.
Any time I make the slightest burbling sound, right? Have your gas mask on, and you go. So every wonder the amount of comparisons we got to A Quiet Place when it first came out. Hideo Kojima's probably there, you know, author, director, visionary. Hideo Kojima's bringing out his Death Stranding. Oh, it's a baby. That's a bit like a baby in The Quiet Place. I bet he would be furious.
Yeah, he would. He'd be like, "You what? You what?" And the baby in the gas mask.
Seems really aggro.
A baby in a gas mask grew up to be Psycho Mantis.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was born in the darkness. He was shaped by it, molded by it. That baby's gonna have some serious problems growing up and
like
existing in that world.
He'll basically turn into A Quiet Place. He'll make everyone be quiet. No, I was raised in the silence.
I don't remember much about the end of the first one. So when we got the scene that kind of was the aftermath of that in this movie, I could barely remember anything. I remember the nail on the stairs, like Marv from Home Alone standing on that.
Yeah. Kevin McAllister's been around their house.
Shit!
There's that, and then they engineer at the end. And I was so pleased to see the whiteboard make an appearance in the opening scene. What is the weakness? The you know, where you'd have written on there noise, noise and my hearing aid. Basically they're collared. Old John Krasinski cops it, saving the kids. You get stumped, but in the end they discover that because one of the main characters, the daughter, has a hearing aid and ocular implant, and that creates a feedback loop which the monsters don't like. She eventually plugs it into a PA system that the dad has, and that makes them open their armor so they can be shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
And that's how it ends, right? It just ends with action beat is over, the sun comes up, and that was the end of the first one.
Yeah, there's a lot about that ocular implant is sort of focused on a lot in this.
Not ocular, sorry.
Ocular,
cochlear. Your eyes, cochlear.
Sorry, cochlear. Yeah, that's for your cock. The cochlear implant is focused on a lot in this, where you're like, it is just a tiny little bit of plastic. There's so much riding on so many things. We're just like, if you just dropped it, or it ends up in the water at one point, or in
his mouth. Yeah,
in his mouth. Yeah, it's just like, Jesus Christ. If that's gone, the whole film is pretty much just like screwed. Obviously it starts with the first event, the events before and during the alien invasion, because they are aliens, aren't they? I think that's what we.
Yeah, they come down on little meteorites. I guess they're not clever enough to fly spaceships. So, do you reckon? Because this is one of the fun things about it, I guess it's ambiguous enough. Wish Aliens was more like this and then explained it all with Jesus engineers, but and that's another story for another podcast. But like, do we, you get room to speculate, has some intelligent alien life dropped these horrible leggy venoms on us, or are they just things that happen to be flying about on rocks in space that have landed on Earth and just
so apparently they're called death angels. I don't think anyone ever refers to them as death angels, but apparently, like, just on alien species Wikipedia, they're called the death angels.
Spelled DEAF or DEATH.
DEATH, because they ain't deaf. They're the opposite of deaf. They bloody hate loud noises. What's that?
They wish they're bloody deaf.
Yeah. They wish they're bloody deaf. Every moment of life is agony for them. That's why they're so zoomy. Is that they're just like, shut up.
As we find out in the film, though, there's a couple of noises they don't mind. They don't mind crickets. They're all still at it. Birds are still around.
Oh, yeah. Because there's a lot of stuff talking about the first movie. They're like, just move and live by that waterfall.
Yeah.
Because you're about to make as much noise. Maybe not as much noise as you like, but a lot more noise.
That Simpsons where he's got like the frying pan on his head. Like,
oh, yeah. I am so great.
Everybody loves me. I am so great. Yeah.
Because there's stuff where they live in the first movie where lights have been hung up and stuff. It's like, what? Has it all been stuck up by like blue tack? Because no one's hammered a bloody nail in, surely.
Even sellotape is too noisy.
Yeah, if you pull it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either that or he's like getting like a little tiny fuzzy felt hammer and going shh, shh, shh.
Yeah. It takes an hour to put one nail in.
Yeah.
But then if one falls, I won't want to hang stuff up, because if one falls down.
Oh.
Yeah. And imagine all the crisps that you want to eat. That you just have to suck on.
Don't want to think of that. Imagine all the crisps you'd have to suck on.
That'd be brilliant. If they go occasionally to get supplies from the shop. It'd be brilliant if all like the crisps and peanuts and loud foods were still just there untouched.
All the flumps are gone.
Skips are gone.
All the flumps are gone. Even flumps have got like the little plasticky wrapper.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You're screwed.
Yeah.
Devastated.
Yeah, in this one, we begin with another loud food that's going to be banned. John Krasinski pops into his real name is Mrs. Lee. He nips it's just a normal average day, right? There's a baseball game. He pops into the shop and gets some crunchy apples. He's eating one of those. He's homing down on that before he even gets out the shop. Yeah, oranges for orange slices for the middle of the baseball game.
He says hello to a dog. He's absolutely loving life. He's just walking around.
Don't think he pays for the food or something.
Probably got a slate.
Stick on the tab.
Is that I still need to top this up? No, I've got some oranges. It's fine.
Yeah, some oranges.
This is quite a nice. This is quite a nice scene, but it's one of those scenes where obviously something terrible is going to happen, so you're just lulled into that false sense of security. But I thought this was a good scene. It established
nice sort of throwback as well, right? The rocket ship that was his son's death is in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was just in the shop, wasn't it? So he attends his son Marcus's baseball game, and it's kind of established all of the family characters and their sort of relationships. But there's a new character. Cillian Murphy is Emmett, who is what's his name? Lee's friend, didn't he? Like, essentially, is that pretty much it? Just another dad. Just another dad at the old baseball
Just one more dad. Yeah.
They have some bants like and they do Chekhov's sign. Now, what's the sign for dive?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
And she teaches him. It's like, all right, I'll remember that.
I like that though. I did like that. I mean, a lot of times I'm like, wow, obvious. But for this one, I liked it, especially when I thought like exactly when it was going to happen. Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
that's like the proper like the Dr. Watson effect, isn't it? Where like you remember just like literally, it's perfectly timed, like seconds before the character in the film remembers, and you feel very clever. And it's like turn around to the version at the cinema again.
I saw that coming. And
that's the moment my dad, when I watch films with him, leans over and says they're going to dive now. Yeah. We know, Dad. We all know. You're not big.
We all know.
You're not
Everybody
clever.
knows.
All right, Sidney Poitier, film expert.
I mean, I just call him Dad.
Yeah.
But,
Sidney Poitier, film expert on special occasions.
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice, nicely paced, very, very slow, metered, I would say, is the pacing of it. It all feels very well metered and nothing feels rushed. We all know it's going to happen. The shit's going to hit the fan eventually. So you just feel the tension kind of bubbling under. Cillian Murphy essentially plays the stand-in John Krasinski for this film. So they get him ready. He's on the bench warming up already at the start, ready to jump in.
He gets up and does his stretches while they do a little bit of an action beat there.
Yeah,
this is a nice bit when, like, because they've seen on TV that things are going awry in China, and then mid baseball game, a big old meteor's coming down, or there's a fiery thing in the sky, and everyone thinks, right, let's chip off and go home now.
I feel like that wouldn't happen, especially in South Bristol. I feel like everybody would maybe go towards it.
I think they would, yeah.
Or everybody run towards it, like, what's going on
here? Yeah. There's a moment with the boy who's playing baseball, but he gets like anxious about this kind of thing, and he can't breathe properly, and he misses. I think he misses all 3 shots, or maybe he hits all.
I think he misses 2 strikes, but then a meteor stops the game.
So he can't really hold that against him. Yeah.
Technically, when society returns to normal after the Quiet Place series is finished, he is still in.
Yeah.
It still is going.
It still is going,
yeah. I don't think we have to run very well after this one, though. So then the shit hits the fan. I think they've got 2 cars. John Krasinski's car is parked on the high street, the main street. So they split up, and then it's introduced. They first have the monster when what's her name? The mum character is driving, and then a bus comes towards them or something.
Oh yeah, the bus is coming straight at them.
Yeah,
and it's coming out of the windscreen of the bus, and it jumps onto their car.
Yeah,
at the same time.
Really nice moment. Yeah,
it's really good. It's really, really good. It's incredibly.
I think that moment was in a trailer, wasn't it? I think, and then obviously the creatures are just jumping and grabbing people all over, like in the peripherals of the scene. So obviously these creatures land on a meteor, and they immediately go, right, someone's getting murdered. Jesus Christ! Chill out.
I guess you've been in a silent void of space all that time. The second you get there, what is all this?
We don't know what they can hear. Do you know what I mean? It might just be literally everything.
If you go back to like day -3 million or something like that, they'll be like, all those aliens will be getting, we're going to go on a road trip. Where are we going to go? I haven't made any specific plans. I'm going to find us a nice quiet place, and that's where it comes from. And they go off, have a lovely time in space with it being
some kind of quiet place,
silence in the vacuum, and they get to Earth, and it is absolute blooming cacophony, isn't it? And they go, right, anyone who's making that din.
Finally, our names, the Death Angels, are going to come. We're going to make the most of them, all right? Because we're angels, and we're just going to fucking murder everybody. Bastards.
They do. They give them, they're thumping people, they're throwing people about, and John Krasinski and his daughter, whose name is so Lee.
Regan.
Yeah.
So Regan, those two who'd gone to get his car, they run into a local pub, and then there's a nice bit here, isn't there, where first there's a couple and someone's on the phone to the mom, and it cuts off.
It seems like John Krasinski seems to know immediately that, you definitely you got to be quiet.
And someone's doing the shopkeeper's doing the prayers, and he sneaks in and goes,
shut up.
Does this face here?
Yeah.
Shush. And then someone's phone bloody goes off as well. That annoy me just in general day-to-day life if I was in a nice quiet pub, let alone in the middle of a alien invasion.
Yeah. Is it a classic Nokia ringtone? Have I misremembered that?
Hello.
I think that's before the movie plays, right? They have like the Nokia ringtone and stuff. I don't think that happened. I don't think it was Nokia. I don't know.
Or is it the glockenspiel that you get on a classic?
I think it might be a glockenspiel.
Yeah, it's the Glocks.
Is that the Apple one? The Apple standard? Yeah.
It's that one. It's probably that person's mom phoning them back. They hadn't been quiet placed. They were just just bad signal.
I mean, you to be fair, you got
back, and then because of that,
You've got no chance of survival, pretty much, of you. If the depends how many of them there are, because I don't think we ever really establish how many of them there are, but they appear to be everywhere, or at least within radius that if there's a sound, they're there in what, 10
On
seconds?
John's whiteboard, I think he says how many? 3? Question
Three
mark.
in the area.
Yeah.
So
At that point in time, they might have spread out.
They get about like there's if there's only a couple in your area, they're all
and this
over
is a worldwide event, isn't
it's
it?
at very least in China, as we see, and then here in the US.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So yeah, it's pretty. Obviously, the creature gets in the pub, and they run out, and then obviously things are still kicking off. There's a police officer tries to shoot one of them, and he gets clotheslined by one of them.
Yes.
We don't really see what happens to people like that, do we? We don't see him get. I mean, I'm guessing it exploded.
Yeah. Like, what do they do with you? Because there's a couple of bits where there are just random shoes about.
Yeah.
And in the first one, the little Baba who gets taken off, he's just gone, isn't he? He's not smashed.
Yeah.
He's not punched to custard.
John Krasinski, they don't do anything with his body. There's no burial or anything in this one. So he's pops.
Gone.
I guess.
Did they just make you gone? Do you reckon they eating you up, or do you reckon they are smashing you and that's it?
It says on this alien Wikipedia page that their only objective appears to be to hunt for prey. But I don't think we ever see anyone like eating anyone or like ripping heads off their arms and limbs.
Really gets eaten.
It just seems like they're bludgeoning people, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Just thumping them, like you said.
They just thump you. Sometimes into a thing. Sometimes just.
But then you never. Sometimes so hard, you're never seen again.
Yeah.
They punch you into dust. You become vapor.
Dumped to atoms, fisted to smithereens. That's what happens.
Fisted to smithereens, yeah. Have they got like knifey hands though? Like
they've got claws because they tear through metal, don't they? So they've got like claws.
They don't really communicate with each other either, do they? It's not like they're pack hunters.
Wait, did they make a noise? Loads of questions. Did he make a noise? I can't remember if they actually make a. Are they quiet?
That's everything they stand against.
Yeah, if they attack each other.
Yeah, would they trigger each other when they're like crunching about and like scratching through things?
I think maybe not. I think they're kind of insectoid. I'm imagining like ants, like they hear a noise that it doesn't correspond with their own clicks and stuff, and then they like attack that. That's not a part of our tribe.
I guess for those familiar with Pokemon, they're kind of like venom scythers. I'd go with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big leggy venom scythers. That's what they are. They've old venom long legs. I don't think do we ever see in any of the films two of them together at all, or is it always just no? This is my jurisdiction.
Well, it's weird because this film, I think the first one does it as well. You never really see the creatures just out and about, and it never kind of builds tension that way. No. You always see it sort of from the perspective of the people, like they're always kind of. Always very close to the characters, so maybe there are, but I think it adds to the sort of danger element.
As I said, with this film I felt it a lot more, and maybe this establishing scene did really well to do that for me, because I did feel a lot more convinced by the threat of these creatures, even though I mean in the first movie it's obvious that they're a major threat, but in this one I just felt like I was right there with all the characters, really scared of what,
because they come across as like invincible, don't they? That like they are, there's no way that you can fight them, certainly not with anything conventional that you're going to have on you. It doesn't feel like any number of people that were in that pub could have wrestled that thing to the ground.
Well, at a point when one gets killed, obviously we will discuss this, I guess we are in spoiler territory talking about the movie now, but fairly early on when one gets killed and Emmett witnesses it, does he not say, "I've never seen one get killed before"?
I don't remember now if he says.
I don't think
even
he
mentions that they murked one.
No.
Yeah. Well, he probably doesn't want to say too much because I think his bear trap, they broke the kid's foot, right? That was his bear trap.
That's in that bear trap that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah. I mean, that kid is in a constant state of distress throughout the whole film.
is crap at baseball, probably crap at basketball as well. We don't see that.
That's a Quiet Place Part 3 where he has like a bit where he plays basketball.
I'm just like, someone's got to give him a meditation app to listen to so he can just try his very best to just chill out for a while, because you're in this constant state of distress. Is not the right world to be like that.
First you're bad at baseball, then you're in trauma, then you get your legs broken, then you got to look after a baby, and then you almost suffocate. Jeez.
He's just having a bad day. And there's even a time, we'll get to this, but he does something. I'm like, I don't understand why he's doing it.
I thought the same. Karen leaned over to me at the cinema and was like, what are you doing? Stupid prick, just stay there.
Yeah.
Oh, I've nearly accidentally suffocated myself again, even though we've established there's only one rule with this big, safe. What is it?
That feels like maybe like the only misstep in terms of the plotting. Like, I don't know why he only did that.
Yeah. I better go and wander around aimlessly to advance the plot and nothing else.
Also,
he doesn't even advance the plot, does he? Really?
No, it doesn't. I was going to say, could you not just even open the door briefly and have a little breathe outside, and then shut the door again?
What? Oh, I think when he gets stuck, it's because he doesn't put the towel in.
Oh, for God's sake!
Got to put the towel in.
You got to slip the towel in. So yeah, we get to present day, where it's the aftermath of the scene at the end of the first movie.
Literally directly after, right?
Yeah, so literally directly after. Things are still on fire. There's somewhere that's flooded. And basically it's Evelyn, the deaf daughter Regan, the son Marcus, and a newborn son who lives in a coffin. Lives in a soundproof coffin. Does he have a name? He lives in a coffin. He's the Undertaker. That's who he is.
Yeah.
Mark Calloway himself, baby Mark.
He's just rolling back in his head constantly. And yeah, it's pretty much the aftermath of that. They all gather all their shit together and decide to leave. Do they have to leave? I just kept thinking, do they have to leave?
They sort of go up on the roof, and part of the first one was they looked at the signal fires and they saw there was one other place that was obviously still going. And I guess they decide, they seem to have a pretty nice setup. I guess their barn is on fire.
Yeah, but they don't live in the barn.
No. They got loads of pickles still in that thing. Pull the plug out at the bottom of your basement.
It seems like, sure, moving on is probably a good idea, but at the same time, moving on to a destination which is completely unclear, is that a good idea? I feel like personally, no matter what happened there, you try and stay, especially in an area that you're familiar with and that you've got.
Also, she has to go back to that area to get more medicine.
To go to the shops.
So if they walk for like a day or two or something, don't they, to get to the next place?
It does seem like
to go back there to.
You know, in something like Walking
Maybe it's like
Dead,
a triangle.
Yeah.
It seems like, you know, in something like The Walking Dead, where they discover a place and it's so perfect to live in, and then it feels like they just throw in any old shit to try and make it so that they've got to leave. We can't keep writing comic after comic after comic of them all in the same area, living life nicely. There needs to be some sort of something. It kind of feels
like it's unspoken. It's like, oh, there's too many bad memories here now because monsters, or that's my favorite barn.
Well, just leave. Dead dad's over there. I don't want to bury him. Let's move.
Yeah, don't want to deal with that.
Sorry, Dad.
She could have at least completed his whiteboard before she left.
Yeah.
Rubbed it all off. I've always wanted to do this. Got it.
It doesn't come off. It's permanent.
Shit.
How do you write on a whiteboard and not have it squeaking?
Yeah. Really careful strokes, like.
Yeah.
Plot hole. I mean, to be fair, this is a world that they've established where it's almost impossible for there not to be dozens of plot holes without everything being explicitly explained by, you know, story or dialogue or something. So of course there's so many things that it's easy to question in this world. As I said, I think this film just does a lot more to make you kind of just forget, or like at least go along for the ride.
By and large, you suspend disbelief and you let it go. We're here because we typically point out like fun observations as we go through, but like as you're watching it in the film, I certainly wasn't taken out. Apart from that one bit that you mentioned, Luke, there weren't bits where I was like, well, that makes noise, and like now that monster's going to get them. Like I guess you've just got to try and have a bit of shush and you've got to try and keep it down a little bit. Don't go around shouting, but you try and limit your noise because they might hear you.
Yeah.
But within certain parameters, you're all right. You get it done.
What do you do if you need to have a little cough? Because there's nothing worse than a little tickle in the throat that you can't.
Oh, man,
the vampire cough when you put your elbow across your face kind of helps, I guess.
Imagine.
Oh,
they'd have heard that.
They've heard you.
They'd have heard that. You might as well have been that old man screaming in the first one. They'd have heard that.
I'm just going to do a little vampire cough. You ready? Yeah. Oh shit! Up again.
Yeah, imagine having if Quiet Place and then COVID hits. I guess you'd be okay because there aren't many people. But
I'm the kind of person who accidentally just kind of sings. It's just something. If I'm just doing stuff around the house, I'll just start singing and humming and stuff. I have a feeling that I would do that quite a few times. So, whoops.
100%. What about when you do a little fart and it wakes you up?
That's gas.
I was about to say,
does that happen often?
That's definitely happened occasionally.
There's going to be any number of people in the early days of A Quiet Place that try to be as careful, but just snore, or they get a cold.
Shit their pants.
It's like living within a first date environment.
And that's what undoesn't.
Living within a first date environment.
Can't fart, can't make any weird noises, just constantly kind of. I mean, they'll all die from early age anyway. They'll all get cancer from all the withheld farts.
Trying to do a little fart on the toilet, but the toilet acts as a megaphone.
Yeah, having to put that soundproof foam in your dunny in the toilet to make sure that it's a completely isolated environment.
I mean, let's be honest, it's just not a way to live, is it? I mean, these are all things that just taking away all my joys.
No wonder that old fella just screamed. He was like, I have had it up to the back teeth of this.
My stomach has been in knots for weeks.
Imagine if the last thing you ate was something like popcorn or something as well.
That's why he's screaming. Stomachache.
What did you eat last night? I had a vindaloo. Oh, fucking hell. That's why he's so red. Look.
Now I've been quiet placed.
Ring sting.
It's all just stuck within me.
Yeah.
But none of these guys have this problem. They've all survived the night, and they decide that they're going to go and visit that signal fire. So they tool up. They all get their things that they have. So
they all put their bare feet on.
They all get their bare feet on, and they follow the sand trail to the end. And they've got all the characters. They've got Baby Mark in his coffin. The Regan has her. She's converted one of the dad's old PA systems, so she's basically got a boombox monster killer.
Oh, but see, I'd be worried that I'd accidentally switch it on if I was walking around with a bloody amp/boombox.
When you've got it and you use it on them, you're invincible practically. It fucks them right up.
Also, there's a weird bit where she turns the amplifier into a portable amplifier just by snipping the power cable off.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it a portable amp. There's no magic batteries in there.
Unfortunately, this was always the generator inside it keeps it running, but this is just here for.
I never knew that.
The amp is the thing that. The amp is what's powering your house. It's not the other way around.
I was confused by that, but I just thought I'd missed something.
Inside the amp, it's that sun from Spider-Man 2. Doc Ock has made it.
The cold fusion engine.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Yeah,
but not in your hand. In an amplifier. So that's what's been keeping there. That's what's been keeping their house running. So now she's taken the Infinity Power Machine and Monster Killer with her. I'd have been quite tempted while you were riding high off that first one, just to go around spend half a day luring them. Just go out in the open and go bums, and then you see what comes running at you. When it comes near, turn the noise box on. There's fucking hell, and then you shoot it.
Just picturing a monster going about its business. Bums.
Who said that?
Bums. I fucking hate that word.
It's that is so rude. And then they put the noise on, and they go,
It's an echoey bombs.
Yeah, and you could play like Dick and Dom. You could like, gradually say it louder and louder until nothing comes, and you just done a big stack of these
let's just
bodies.
Let's play a game with the fucking death angels, shall we? Jesus.
If you get two people, what you could do is you get two people stand on each end of the town. One's Dick and one's Dom. What they do, the bogey game, it's going to wear them out. Like the creatures are going to be running back and forth. Yeah. Eventually, they're going to lie down,
collapse.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that either. I mean,
get you all.
It sounds silly on the surface, but I think there's a lot to take away from that.
What's established in that is that we would win a quiet place, I guess.
Yeah, we'd win a quiet place if Luke was with us, because he's come up with a flawless plan. Yeah. So how long
do we do with my dog? We're trying to wear her out. Come here, no, come here, and it works.
Got a little treat for you. How long does it take them to walk to Emmett's gaff?
I feel like it's a day, and I feel like it's
a day.
25 hours.
It felt like it's just over. I felt like it's just over the bloody. It wasn't long. They're carrying a lot of shit as well, aren't they? I mean, they're carrying amps, baby coffins. I mean, it's a lot.
And you got to go slow as well. I feel bad for the son because he hasn't got an accessory. If he's an action figure, what's he got?
Like a
bear trap, I guess.
A bear trap.
He changes leg to a bloodied one. It like snaps off like a head.
And he can change his lungs to ones that are really small when he gets suffocated.
Oh, you can give him the little baby gas mask.
Yeah.
When he's sucking the air in later on.
Stealing the baby's air.
Stealing the baby's air. It was
good
like
look,
that,
is it?
wasn't it? The baby was like, give me back my air. I just need a little bit. Just need a little bit of that air. Just a little sniff. Oh, it's lovely.
Like stealing candy from a baby.
Yeah.
But air, that's worse.
In the first movie, I hadn't realised it's just air so we can sleep and not suffocate in that coffin. I thought, fucking hell, sleeping gas, so he doesn't cry.
that kid, as soon as that baby starts getting fed milk as well, he steals the milk. He's like, no, let me have a bit. Even if his
I'm the baby now.
Even if his mum's breastfeeding.
Yeah. Speaking of being a baby, he acts a right baby in a minute, isn't he? So they get to like a train yard / steel mill /
I mean, a lot of
miscellaneous
these visuals,
industrial.
They do feel very much like the Last of Us, just like slightly overgrown. Well, I say slightly overgrown, dilapidated areas. And obviously the Last of Us feel really hits home when it's just a girl and Cillian Murphy traveling a little bit later.
That's the archetype. That's like the avatar, like the archetypes of post-apocalyptic stories, isn't it? You have a sort of adult older man. Sweet Tooth did the same thing. You had Sweet Tooth when you had the sort of gruff companion guy.
Love and Monsters too. There's a gruff companion man as well, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Michael Rooker. Yeah. So it is. I mean, stories like this, I do feel like you kind of do play into the archetypes, but it still kind of works. It's like a good flavor of ice cream.
But I like
that combination of flavors works well.
Yeah, don't say vanilla's boring, lads. It's the reason it's so popular, guys. Come on. Vanilla ice cream is everywhere because it's good.
It's so good, yeah.
But I liked that archetype being involved because it felt like that was something, not necessarily that, but it felt like something that was really missing from the first film. As soon as this was added, I was like, okay, I like this a lot more. It feels
Cillian Murphy definitely fits that, especially in this role. I can't remember his name, but he's Emmett. Yeah, I don't know. He really exemplifies that kind of character really well in this.
Classic sort of Joel as well, where he's not really interested, doesn't want to risk what he's already got going, doesn't want to sort of go on
what he's got going. Got my dead wife upstairs. I live in this like weird hole in the ground.
Yeah. I've got a lot going for me. I've got this hole. I've got this boiler that I can hide in.
Yeah.
I got.
Could it get any better than this? This is the fucking battle I've had over here. Wait, shush, don't speak up.
He's kind of like, he doesn't want to get involved. He doesn't want to like help anybody, really, does he? And but then he
first, do you think he's going to
he pretty much automatically, as soon as he needs to, he's kind of automatically goes into that role.
He just gets kind of forced into it, doesn't he? But first, you first encounter him watching them through like the scope of a sniper rifle.
Dirty voyeur.
It's one of those things that I don't think he was ever intending to shoot them.
No, he's just having a look, wasn't he? That's what they all say, those snipers, when they're aiming at people. I was just having a look.
I was just watching them. Just the only thing I haven't got binoculars on me. I ain't Bill Oddie. All I've got is
your finger is definitely on the trigger. Well, it's comfortable, most comfortable place to rest it.
That's what guns are designed for. So yeah, he's watching them through the scope, and he has a point at a few people. He points at the sun for the longest, but then he has they go over a tripwire that sets some bottles off, like a noise trap.
Yeah. And then they do a lovely whispery, quiet run away.
Run. And they skitter right into the sun, stepping in this bear trap. And then you'd wonder who the baby is in the situation, Ben, because he's bloody sobbing like one.
Oh, I mean,
he's got a kind of scratchy, voice breaking.
He's in a lot of pain, I understand, but at the same time, like, if you make noise, you're pretty much dead. So is there a way of not? I don't know. A vampire, like a vampire cough, but a vampire scream.
Yeah. I think he'd be more like, I mean, I'm sure it's painful, but it'd be more like like you wouldn't scream. Really? I mean, I don't know if I've ever been in any kind of pain I think I've had some very painful experiences, but I've never gone, Like, that's not the response.
Oh, I don't know, when you bang your toe sometimes.
Yeah, but even then, like, I would go like, oh, you fucker. Are you fucker? I'd say, are you fucker? Really loud. Maybe at the most, but I wouldn't scream. Like you do, and you kind of get it. You work it out.
Please do it again. There's monsters that are eating a really sour sweet.
Oh, you fucker! Yeah.
Especially if there's monsters that are going to thump you if you make a noise. Yeah. But he's forgotten all about it, and he is absolutely howling. This is one of the flaws of watching a film like this with a medic. Because after they rescue him later and they get time to pause and they say, oh, don't worry, thankfully it didn't reach the bone. Karen said as we got out, she was like, got him in the shin, right? Lean down and touch your shin.
Pure bone.
Yeah. It's absolute bollocks. Did it not get to the bone? You would be your leg would be smashed. You would get
okay, maybe you would scream.
There is a word I don't know, but it's about like you would basically get fucking bonitis and die. And so yes, even if you rinsed it with vodka, soz. But yeah, he gets bear trapped. They get him out and they get inside, and Cillian Murphy, Emmett, he Sam Fishers them basically, like solid snakes them off.
Well, they do kill one of the creatures first, don't they?
Oh yeah, they do. They mark
while
that
he's watching.
Is
it a classic combination where you've got like a side character doing her ability, which is the
portable amp,
portable amp, cock ear implant. Cock ear implant, and then obviously there's a great shot where Emily Blunt like shotguns and shoots it in the head. It's a great combination, to be fair. One that I think, come on, rack them up then, rack up the kill count.
Yeah, to be fair, they could have stood their ground on that one, because this is the closest we get to it being, because they go, I would have heard the gunshot, another one's going to come.
Yeah.
And
if there's only like 3 in the area they could hear, if you think
one's already dead.
One's already dead. One more.
Oh,
and then we can live our lives and do what we want and listen to Limp Bizkit as loud as we want.
Imagine that, guys. Come on, let's rally against Limp Bizkit. We could do this. rolling.
Come on, Fred. Yeah. Fred Durst comes over with his long gangly arms.
He'd still be there. He'd have his same baseball cap, but he'd have like a beard now because he's lived in the apocalypse.
Are you ready? Yeah. He has got a beard, and he's not in the apocalypse. He's currently got a beard.
And the monsters, the Death Angels, would do their bit in Rolling, where it's like, you want to mess with them? Yeah. Why? When? Oh. If they do that bit because they get it on every day and every night, that's what they could do.
That would be phenomenal, but probably not.
But they don't do that. They haven't got the foresight. What they do is they run/hobble inside, and another monster is coming, and they manage to jump down a little escape hatch and Emmett gets them into his like safe, his boiler that they can hide in.
Boiler, is that what it is? It's like a little fallout shelter.
It's like a little boiler that they can hide in, and he puts the towels across and says, shh. And it's pretty much soundproof, so it's quiet. They can hide in there. The monster passes, and then they can come back out. And he has a sad moment of, "You can't stay here. Need this. There's not enough food. You gotta go."
Yeah. So what? So they
put a timer on, don't they, as well, to because there's only got a couple of minutes of air. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, you can only stay in there for a little.
Can they just leave it open? Can't they just leave it open a tiny bit?
It
wouldn't be safe.
I mean, another point is they put a towel against the lever, which stops it from locking up completely.
Can't lock it up.
Yeah. So whilst everyone's having a sleep at nighttime, the daughter, I'm a bit confused. There's like a song that's called like Beyond the Sea or something.
Beyond the Sea, the big Bioshock fans in the apocalypse, and they're playing Beyond the Sea on the radio. So the static is broken out by this song that plays. The son, who has his noise cancelling headphones on, because they can still enjoy a bit of music. That's his accessory. He's got noise cancelling headphones and a radio.
I feel like when I got noise cancelling headphones on, I'm like heavy breathing. So I wouldn't want to.
I do. Yeah. Cat's like, shut the fuck up. I breathe apparently like I'm heaving as I'm sort of like listening to music or something.
Yeah, but you just can't hear yourself, so you're just not in control of it at all. So
it's not your fault.
It's like also like being deaf in this world is difficult, because there are some times where if you're opening a creaky door.
Or that.
Opening a creaky door, for example, if you start opening it, oh shit. But if you're deaf, you're not going to know. You're just going to want to.
Should be opening creaky doors willy-nilly.
Willy-nilly.
Can you imagine that was another thing you could do? Bearing in mind the monsters can't hear you. If you're very, very quiet, Elmer Fudd style, if you just got loads of pairs of noise-cancelling headphones and you could sneak up behind them and just pop them over their heads.
Oh, yeah.
Flip that noise canceller on.
See you later. From listening to the song Beyond the Sea, I think Regan determines it's a clue meant to lead survivors to nearby islands. I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, but I guess it kind of makes sense. And I think she decides
she knows.
She's great at puzzles, and she decides if she can reach the radio tower that's located there, she can use that frequency that's being broadcast in the song, and she can broadcast her implant high frequency noise, and then everyone can use. But everyone's basically got radios that they can use as weapons. Then,
it's basically anyone with a radio. You could get a car working. You just go around gooing like doughies in a car park, blasting that noise out, and you can get them.
I mean, it doesn't kill them, though, does it? I mean, I know it's a massive weakness for them. I guess it does help in the war against.
Like later on,
Death Angels.
When they're exposed to it, they not only just have their armor open, they're pretty much paralyzed. Right, that one towards the end is like
it's still coming towards it, though, isn't it? At the end, it's still
it's backing off. At the end, it's like
it's too loud.
He's losing it. It's cutting his life into pieces. But this is her plan, and she tells the brother that she's going to go. Said, "Look, I'm going to go because mom won't let me go, so I'm just doing it. I can save the day." They've already had a conversation with Emmett, who said that they can't stay and he can't help them, and that their dad was wrong. And she's kind of had some cross words with him, saying like, "You ain't out like him." But she's going to leave. In that argument as well, there's another thing where I think Emily Blunt's character asks, "So you saw that our light was on. Did you not think of coming to us?" And he's like, No, I never did. I wouldn't have ever come. And he's on his own. He announces that his family have all they've all died basically. They've all been got or have died off of illness over the time they've been alone. They don't have to lay a guilt trip on him, saying, "Oh, you knew it was us. Why didn't you come?" Like, it's like when you visit a relative and they say, it puts you off going to visit them more often, because the first half hour of you being there, it's like, oh, you haven't visited for a while.
Yeah.
And
you ain't got legs, have you? Got no legs?
You haven't visited me either. I'm going to give you, like, in fact, I'm visiting you now, so I've got the moral high ground, if anything.
So I win.
As soon as you start saying, I've got the moral high ground or I win, I think you've lost.
I have the high ground now, and then you kill her with a lightsaber.
I was about to say, yeah. Obi-Wan Kenobi, he knew he had the high ground.
General Kenobi. My grandma says.
When you go and see your dad.
Grandma? Is that you, Grandma?
General. The 6 arms.
Hello there.
General Kenobi. It's Luke, actually.
Yeah, but my friends call me Luke.
It's Kenobi with a K.
These are my family, actually.
Yeah.
So, right, canonically for the podcast now, Luke Condor with a K's grandma is General Grievous. Grandma Grievous. Where were we? So she's going, and she
just leaves. Basically, she takes her amp with the wire snipped, ventures out alone.
Fusion reactor.
You know, there's no noise coming out of that, don't you? What? No, I'm deaf. I don't know that.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then obviously the other kid, what's the other kid called? Marcus grasses her up straight away, goes to Evelyn and says
she's not a good kid, is it? Like, he's not nice.
She
steals air from babies.
He's a right old square pin,
Snitches.
Isn't he? Straight away.
He will get some stitches because he doesn't look where he's stepping.
He
needs like an absolute buffoon.
There's always one in there.
Crap at baseball.
So he basically is a telltale straight away.
Yeah.
Not so much that it's like he decides to sleep on it before telling, so she does have the opportunity to go. And they wake up and she's gone, and Emily Blunt immediately sends Emmett out after her. Says, "Look, please." And he goes, "Oh no, don't bother. No, just look, my daughter's definitely worth saving. If Lee was alive, and he's not, guilt. He would tell you that she was worth saving. So go on, because his leg is knackered. I got to look after this here baby. Do us a favor, mate." And he goes, "Oh, all right then." And off he goes. He puts the shoes on though.
Yeah.
And he's off.
Oh yeah.
It is a cool idea, a cool concept of having the girl, a deaf girl, kind of venturing out into a world where creatures will attack you if you make any noise. So she goes into like a train cart or something, and she's looking for. I don't know what she's looking for actually.
She decides to walk. Like, there's a train that's on the tracks, and I guess you could walk round it, but want a bit of a nose in there, don't you? It'd be a nice scene dressing. And so when she passes the station where I would say an inordinate number of people in stilettos were killed, high heels everywhere.
They're literally shoes everywhere. Sometimes high heels are like strapped on pretty tight. Don't ask me why I know that, but
You're
I just
right.
do.
I'm guessing
right?
When people got thumped wearing trainers, the trainers got thumped with them to wherever they were thumped to, but the high heels were knocked off.
Yeah,
it's still pretty nuts. I'm like, what's going on? There's a guy. There's a guy wandering around in the apocalypse with a foot fetish, just absolutely loving life.
Yeah,
absolutely loving life.
Quietly collecting all them shoes.
This is great. Everyone he meets has got no shoes on. He's absolutely loving it. Well, he or she is loving it.
But let's be fair, probably a.
Let's be fair, probably, definitely, 100% a he.
Probably those red eyes guys we meet later. They just got red eyes from looking at people's feet so hard,
so intently. Oh, we got some lovely feet there. So there is a jump scare here, isn't there? Where like a body.
The birds.
What is it? The birds. There's a body that like
the bird. There's a birds in the train first when she first steps in. But then there's the she gets a first aid kit.
Both of these
body of the train man falls on.
Yeah. Both of these scares got me because, again, I mean, I talk about jump scares almost every week on this podcast. I'm sick of hearing myself talk about jump scares. But the jump scare, all you need is the actual noise of what is happening, and it works just as well. It works better than accompanying it with any level of soundtrack. And yeah, that's why these jump scares generally got me, because the moments before were quiet, because obviously they needed to be, but not like obviously quiet. In some horror movies where it goes quiet and you're like, right, there's going to be a jump scare because it's gone quiet and it's prepping me for it. Whereas this, obviously, because the quiet moments,
it's a natural thing
there's
anyway,
so much
right?
of them, and it's natural. Yeah. It just works
is there
really well.
much of an ambient soundtrack? I know that a good ambient soundtrack you don't really notice, but is there like a background theming, or is it quiet most of the time?
I think there is. I mean, if you listen to the soundtrack, it's mostly that. It's mostly kind of ambience and stuff.
Yeah.
So she sort of falls to the floor. I think she's kind of collecting herself and the first aid kit, and then we see one of the creatures behind her sort of climbing into the train car. That's again, it reminds me of when it comes out of the bus. There's something creepy about the way they move when you don't know they're there, or when they're just out of frame or slightly out of focus, and they're kind of walking towards you. They're scariest when they're not the most manic, I think.
Yeah. Before they really lose it and they're like looking around for you. So when they're not on alert, when they're on caution, and they're like, what was that noise? And they're looking around.
Yeah.
It's because they make that jump so immediately from being like caution to alert that it's bloody terrifying. It's like it just goes from 1 second. They just suddenly decide that they're going to go absolutely ape shit, and they did.
Yeah, hog wild on you. But it's looking around, and the problem that they have here is she puts on a speaker box and it weakens it and it opens the armor, but because she's knackered and on the floor, she can't really aim a shotgun. Obviously, she's smaller than her mom as well.
Yeah.
So she's trying to do shotgun one-handed, and she kind of clips it but doesn't kill it, and it's going to get her. And she's realised that game over, man. And she just covers her eyes, ready to get punched to atoms, and then it dies, because who should be here?
The main man. The main man, Mr. Murphy.
Yeah. So he says, "I'm going to take you back to the sawmill, wherever it is, the train yard." But she tries to tell him. There's like a lot of moments where like he's not speaking right, or he's mumbling or something. And she's like holds his head.
So he's looking at her properly, so she can read his lips. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think she kind of explains the plan. I don't really,
because he wouldn't have heard it before, right? Because all he got was told to go and save her.
Yeah.
And she explains that. I think she says the same as you, Luke, and it's like, well, like, it's like, oh, I don't want to lose what I've got. And she's like what? Like what is it you actually have that's worth?
We've already told you he's got a hole in the ground that he loves the hole in the ground. Got his dead wife upstairs chilling, not nagging him. not nagging him all the time. Yeah. She's dead.
Finally, he's got himself a bloody quiet place.
He's got himself a quiet place, and he's got spurs on his cowboy boots that he's walking around with all the time.
Yeah.
Making a whole load of rackets.
So he can do what he wants in that sawmill, but she makes a compelling case. Well, actually, we don't know, because they have this conversation and then she goes to sleep, wakes up in the morning and a hearing aid is gone, and we have like a brief moment of despair that he's gone out to check out, or maybe he's gone out to check out where the monster might be, and he's been got maybe, and so he is gone. She's on her own, and she's also lost a hearing aid. But then, while she's despairing about that, he comes back and he's fine. He goes, no, just checking it out.
Is he carrying at this time the amp and the hearing aid?
He must have taken the amp as well.
The amp, the hearing aid, a shotgun. Like,
did he take the hearing aid out of her ear?
What? You wait till I get this amp turned on.
Does she take it off to go to sleep or something like that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
because he might roll on it, I guess.
Or he's just come and just gone. I'll have a bit of that.
Take it off her, and then then he's like, any objections to me taking this? Can't answer. Can't. You're asleep.
Any object? No. What's that? Take silence as no. See you later. Yeah, and around about at this time as well is when Evelyn decides that she needs to leave Marcus and the baby together at the foundry / hole in the ground because she needs to go and get medical supplies and possibly some other stuff in order to make sure Marcus doesn't
the baby's
die.
almost out of sleeping gas.
And the baby's almost out of air. And then when she's going, I'll go and get the baby some more air, Marcus is just like, I'll have a bit of that. Can I have some? Oh, well, maybe. You got your own air.
If there's 2, I'll get 2.
You've got air at home.
Air at home. It's argon. No good. And also she's going to need some antibiotics to him, otherwise he's going to get fucked up with his leg.
Yeah. Bonitis.
Yeah, you'll get bonitis. You need some Calpol to take the edge off that.
Oh, you're right, looking after this baby. Yes. Are you sure?
You're not going to there, are you?
I don't know how to look after a baby.
What was that pause?
Well, I was just making sure I said the right answer, and the answer is no. Yes.
I mean, yes.
What was the question? What was the question again?
And he's got the air and the mask on his face. Yeah.
To be fair, like when Ben, you've got you've had a baby to look after. When they were telling you at the hospital how to look after a baby when you apply for one,
you don't want to give them too much air.
Did they say at any point do they give you any guidance of how much air they need?
No, they just take it for granted that you know, which I think is rude. If anything,
health visit comes around, not a sausage on how much air they need.
Have you been making sure the baby has regular air? No, it doesn't say.
Was it supposed to?
It says nothing about. There's nothing about that in the guidebook. Nothing about that in the guidebook.
Cover that in Lamar's.
Who wrote this?
Yeah. Well, did they not explain it when you bought your baby coffin at Mothercare? Babies are us.
What's in it? It's like that coffin. It's sort of like soundproof packing peanuts and stuff, right?
Yeah,
soundproof packing.
It's that. It's again. It's recording studio foam.
Yeah. Egg cartons and stuff. Anechoic chamber in a little box. Yeah. So while she makes the journey towards the town, Emmett and Regan, I think they walk across a bridge. Where are they? In California?
New York, is it? It's New York State.
Right. Okay. So they go across there. I really enjoy these kind of post-apocalyptic journey shots. Anyway, generally, I like to see that kind of imagery, and I think that's also what's quite exciting about this one. We get to see more of the world, more of the kind of the destitute,
more quiet places.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And then we even fairly soon get to see more people. And in fact, Emmett has even said earlier in this film, "Oh, you've only seen the monsters. You don't know. You've not seen people. You don't know what they're really like anymore."
Oh yeah, that's a good point there.
They've all got red eyes and they're horrid.
Yeah, they're really not nice to look at. They smell weird too. So
in fact, actually, you idiots, like they don't care about the sound of running water. You could still have showers, you mingers.
They are mingers.
Yeah, right. That's the gang name, the Mingers. We'll get to the Mingers in a bit.
The Marina Mingers.
Yeah, so they're heading down to the marina because Cillian Murphy's gone on ahead and found a boat, right? So they're on the way down there. They have a lovely scene where they're looking out over the river, and he points to the boats down the Toon. Meanwhile, going down the local town, Emily Blunt is there. Does a bit of non-essential travel first and goes to the grave of her son to leave the
non-essential travel.
It is non-essential travel. Your kid's on a there's only a finite amount of air and his painkillers are going to wear off. She thinks, I'll go and sentimentally place my wedding ring, which you could arguably say you might want to keep as a keepsake of your departed husband.
Get it down.
Yeah.
She puts a photo, I think, of John Krasinski, of Jim Halpert from The Office. He pops that photo on the top of the grave. Was that really there?
I'm not sure. There were several photos there from when it was the little boy's grave first. But she adds the wedding ring to it precariously on the top because you can't, as we know, hammer a nail in. So she places that there, and then heads to town where she gets some It's going to be an all-day job because it's nighttime when she gets back. But she takes she finds some bandages, some paracetamol, and some.
If this was in a game, you'd be just before a boss fight. All the stuff she finds.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Oh, weapons. Oh, health. Oh, lovely. Oh, brilliant. Oh, it's going to be a really boss fight.
Loads of herbs, some grenade rounds, a boring long corridor.
A typewriter.
And then you walk into the next room, a large circular room.
I wonder what could be going on here. And there's that little moment where, as you walk forward, a little pause as a cutscene just loads. Oh,
So she's doing the pre-boss prep. Meanwhile, the son. This is the bit, isn't it, Luke, where he makes the poor choice where it goes, "I'm going to go out of this bunker while the baby's in his coffin, just to mill about upstairs."
Yeah, it's like one of the noisiest environments to go milling about in. Lots of large metal stuff that could scratch or tumble, or it does eventually. Do we see him go upstairs at this point, and he finds Emmett's wife?
Yeah, at some point, this is it's like a triple threat, isn't it? Because we have Emily Blunt collecting the supplies.
Yeah.
We have the son looking around upstairs where he will eventually find the decaying body of Emmett's wife. And was it just me, or did you have a moment where you think, oh no, is he going to turn out to be bad?
Yeah, I definitely thought that 100%.
Yeah.
And I thought that was what it was alluding to. And the fact that it didn't, I was it sort of took me by surprise. Especially like, what is he doing, Marcus, at this moment? It seems like he's just pointlessly. Yeah. I think in terms of
because what happens is
the fact that there was two plot points going alongside each other, the Emily Blunt and then obviously the other guys. I thought that was enough. It felt like adding another.
I felt that as well. Yeah.
Adding another potential threat or reveal or another potential scenario like that just felt like a bit too much.
Is it just so he can get into trouble though? That's what I'm thinking.
I think so. So when the mum comes back, there's more of like a stress, more of a tension at that point. It does feel like the hand of the creator does feel a bit heavy in that point. I mean, I didn't mind it. It's still kind of fun, and it creates the whole element with the son hiding in the vault, and he accidentally locks himself in, and it kind of creates all that kind
he
of fun stuff.
Forgets to put the towel over that we've seen everyone else do, because he brings the monster down on them. He gets back into the base, but then the monster starts coming down into their little hidey hole. So he gets in the thing and he doesn't put the.
He's like, "Where's the towel?" And looks down. He's wearing it. Fuck.
So this is when he's going to have to. He eyes up that baby's oxygen moments later, like
seconds. Yeah.
Tiny bit short of breath.
What oxygen there have you got? Hey, you don't need all that oxygen, do you?
I mean, babies don't need that much oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's huffing away on that oxygen in no time. But Emily Blunt's on the way back. But this is when we go back to the base. So the guys are in town. They're at the marina, and it's a bit Left 4 Dead-y, isn't it? They have there is a crouched character they see. There's a quick couple of flits across in the shadows, and then there is a sobbing, defeated character kneeling quietly on their own. Yeah. And we think it's a little girl that's in peril, but she's not. She's a member of the Mingers, the gang. Notorious in this area. And she whacks a noisy necklace on him. She puts a rope around his neck that's attached to.
That's such a weird sentence, isn't it? Yeah. She whacks a noisy necklace. What's this? It's a noisy necklace. Get it off!
Yeah. She basically straps a one-man band to him. There's an accordion and there's a drum that's going to.
What is it? It's like a chain. Is it a heavy chain or something?
No, it's like a fishing net covered in jingle bells. I don't know, bottles, bottles full of nails, all the noisiest things. Although you would be tempted at that point straight away, and we get a plan on this point. But you'd say, fuck off and don't rob me, or I'm going to jump around and kill us all. Yeah. Because if you're going to kill me anyway.
mentioning a one-man band, there's a sketch show, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but this sketch always sticks with me. And it's it's like a guy waking up after a one-night stand and like looking over to the woman next to him and going, oh, and really quietly standing up and then getting dressed and putting his socks on and his shoes and then really, really quietly putting on a one-man band, like drum and then a cymbal and then really quietly trying to walk out the room like I cannot remember what sketch show it is. I'll have to try and...
Oh, it sounds brilliant. But yeah, it's exactly like that. He's not allowed to move. And the Mingers are like basically robbing them, and they're looking at all the things. They're going through the bag. They steal the speaker box. They start to look at a hearing aid, but then because they can't speak, they're all just going like, "Don't bother, mate. Don't go stealing that." And then basically, I guess the transaction is concluded, and they're going to take. They're going to take Regan away with them as she looks back in panic. And it remembers a certain sign that he learned from her in the past.
Yeah. From years before.
Which is, fuck you. Okay? See you later.
Yeah, and he does that to those guys. Like, you what, mate? You what? It reminds me, I had the most aggro in Cambridge Tesco's car park this afternoon ever. We were just running pat on the one walking out with the dogs. We just heard like a loud proclamation. Maybe it was someone arguing with the Mingers, saying, "You pack it in or I'm going to smash you." And then the loud voice replied, "Come on then, fucking smash me then." He didn't smash her. He called her a daft cunt and walked off. But
you heard this. You heard this today.
This is today.
Yeah.
But yeah. They seem to know each other. They were rather familiar with one another to be strangers. But anyway, no one was smashed. But in this occasion, someone is about to be smashed. Cillian Murphy gives her the signal. Dive.
Yeah.
And off she goes. She dives. Cillian Murphy then starts running around in his one-man band, playing "Oh When the Saints Go Marching In."
Yeah.
Harmonica.
Yeah.
and then like the leggy Venom in the area like goes whoa 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 whoa, and he like comes in
leggy Venom.
Yeah.
And you just see him going down. There's like a whole line of the Mingers like on the docks, and he just runs through them like a bowling ball, like just pummeling them off the edges.
Why don't they all just jump off? I mean,
they weren't given the sign to dive though. They hadn't had that idea seeded. It's like whenever there's like a crowd battle scene and someone who's going to escape with a flashbang, so shut your eyes and only the people on your team do it.
Yeah.
We weren't talking to me.
So Cillian Murphy dives in the water as well. And he's got the thing around his neck, and he's kind of dying and drowning and whatever happens in the water when you can't breathe.
I think the guy is still attacked. He grabs one of the guys, doesn't he? He grabs the leader and stabs him in the thigh, making him shout.
Oh yeah, that was a good. That was a good moment. Yeah,
he's brutal.
Yeah,
Cillian Murphy he's seen some stuff.
Well, 20 days later, he lost his mind back then. He's not been the same since.
Yeah, he thumbs that guy's eyes.
Yeah. And then
can't call that tango.
One of the creature, the Death Angel, comes in after him, and then can't swim, and it just suddenly like drowns. I actually felt a little bit sorry for it.
But does it drown? We come back to that.
Sorry for it.
It's a weird weakness to have if you're a space. If they are bioengineered weapons,
they must have come across water at some point.
Swimming and eyes are two of the things you'd give them quite early on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's weird because the swimming thing, if it's not a worldwide thing, then they're just like on land masses, are they? And just, yeah.
Do you think in the wider Quiet Place world, is England all right? It's a fairly small country to send a whole spaceship full of aliens to.
Yeah. Well, if they can't survive in water, I mean, Earth is like, 90% water or something?
It's a lot.
That's no wonder there's only 3. They sent fucking millions to Earth. Get it? What? 3 left? The rest are dead.
A lot of us fell in the sea.
Most are in the sea.
Lost
You know,
the rest of them in
somehow,
the sea. Bottom of the Mariana Trench with Megatron.
somehow this government would do something though that means that they somehow make it over to this country, wouldn't they? Because obviously, as we've seen, just being so current in terms of current affairs. What's that?
Yeah.
A new variant of something terrible. Just let it in for a few months. What is the worst that could happen? That's what they do. They just go get the aliens in here for a few months. They'll be all right.
Mentality. Get the alien right in with him. Only the strong will survive.
We wouldn't get any quiet places in our No Death Angels of landing on the landmass of the UK. And then what would happen is Boris Johnson would give his speech about why he isn't going to close the Channel Tunnel. At the end of the Channel Tunnel with a megaphone, they'd all hear him. Any of them in France would come ripping along the tunnel.
With moustaches and croissants.
Yeah. And it'd be le punched, le biffed,
dead.
Yeah,
yeah, and that's how we'd get them over it, I guess. But yeah, they can't swim, so that one sinks to the bottom like a stone. So we're led to believe. When that man is dead, then he manages to cut himself free, and they basically see all of those Minga folk are being just pummeled. They're all over. It's fisticuffs o'clock over on those docks.
It's one of these things, and you get it a lot in films like this, but where the existence of Emmett and Regan means that people who have been living their lives pretty peacefully and all right for however long they survived this long are basically getting fucked up and dead because of the existence of these characters. Like, obviously, when they turn up on the island, it's like, oh,
it's like utopia. Yeah.
For God's sake, we've been loving life here.
Absolutely blow it for them. These people, though, at least they're bad people. So,
yeah,
not to judge anyone's lifestyle, but what I'm saying is they deserve to be killed.
But are you going to stick a noisy necklace on me? You fucking deserve everything you're going to get.
You're going to rob someone in a life and death situation. Well, I hope you get fucking punched to death, mate. Like fisted to smithereens. That's what I fancy for you.
Bloody Cillian Murphy. He wanted any opportunity to stick that thing in his mouth, the cochlear implant. As soon as he saw it, he was like, I'm going to get it out of my mouth at some point.
Yeah.
It looks a bit like a gun shield.
That's where he took it that night when she was asleep. She's like, where's it gone? And she got it back. He's like, why is it wet? Been in his mouth all night.
Been keeping it safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've done it. And then Regan pulls him out of the water and they're on. We'll come back to this in a minute. From our memory, she pulls him onto like a little open top boat and they sail away towards the island, right? That is the boat they're on. It's a little tiny like dinghy, right? That takes them over the water.
I think so. Can't really remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. We'll be back. Meanwhile, Emily Blunt is on the way back at this point. She doesn't get back to the end because it's quite a thing. And they arrive at the island. So Regan and Emmett arrive at the island, and I certainly was like, Phil, don't you lot be horrible as well. But we're quickly relieved, and they're not, and they're just seen having lovely cocoa.
Having a lovely by the fire. It is basically just like a utopia, like a small colony of these survivors, pretty much living a normal life. The colony leader, who is just
Djimon
listed here as Djimon Hounsou, is just listed here as man on the island. That's his official name.
His official character name.
That's all the name he gets.
He's the premier DJ of the island as well. He runs the radio station.
He sure does.
Yeah.
He's the Alan Partridge of the island.
DJ Djimon Hounsou.
So yeah, they're basically introduced to this lovely lifestyle. Regan's making friends. And you know what? It pretty much goes to shit straight away. And it is Emmett and Regan's fault, essentially.
Yeah,
well,
so they're sitting
not really,
there,
but in a way.
The leader of the island agrees that he's going to broadcast he is really pleased with them that they heard his clue. He shares a message that was a government plan, but as always, bloody people can't queue properly, and they're all pushing in, and only two boats made it off there. It's a very
Titanic.
It's very 28 Days Later, I thought, where they talk about that, it's like a recollection that someone is retelling of a horrible scene. There's that scene that they talk about in the kitchen in 28 Days Later about the people in that riot, and they're all just at some point you can't tell who's infected and who's just panicking, and it sounds and like it's a scene that you can visually think of it, even though it's never shown on screen. It's only in dialogue, and this is similar. You can imagine those scenes of people pushing to get on these boats and no one really ever managing to escape.
That's good though. Another film might have shown it as a flashback, and it was good.
Same as Jaws, when he talks about the 300 sharks or whatever. He talks about when there's the shark infested waters and the people who survived. Are those kind of stories within films do stick with you?
There's probably a special name for that.
Yeah. Stories. I don't know.
The special name for stories in films, tweet in. But it's good. It's really effective. But either way, everything seems like they've got a plan. But you can't have 20 minutes of your film left and not have some lovely peril. So Cillian Murphy's sitting on the beach and he hears a bit of scraping around. And then that monster that we thought couldn't swim is on the bottom of a boat, right?
He can't swim, but he's really good at sailing.
I was about to say, because that isn't the boat they travel on, right? Because at first I was like, oh, it's the boat that they were on, and it's not the boat that they were on. The bottom, Cape Fear style, but it's not. It's sailed.
It was the one that they were going for first, I think, the boat.
Yeah,
and the one
it's
that
like the Sea Star or something.
Cape Fear style.
But this one, he must have reached up with his big daddy long legs arms and Steamboat Willied the boat and just drove it over. So what we do know is that these monsters can't swim, but they all have their RYA level 1 like dinghy sailing.
Yeah.
And he sailed over to the island and something people.
Yeah. This is
like kids and people, lots of innocent people who are just enjoying themselves moments ago, are suddenly getting thumped into vapor. The I don't know his name, man on the island. He takes the in a jeep or something, like a car or something. He puts the kids in.
He hides the kids in the cupboard. Hushes them.
Gives them some oxygen.
I'd be fuming if I was. Wouldn't you be fuming if you were him? You just be like, oh, this can't be a coincidence that one of the things has turned up just a day after you guys have arrived, you twats.
He seems to me like the kind of person who it doesn't matter, you just got to get on with it. Like it's
takes it on the chin.
Yeah, that's how you kind of survive. You just, if it happens, like instantly got the job to do and survive. So he gets in the car. They're being chased by, not only did the alien sail, but he's in another car behind him, chasing him. The right car chasing across the island.
Yeah, it's leaning out the window, Ace Ventura style. He chases them. He doesn't really do that. He chases them Terminator 2 style, doesn't he? T-1000s onto the back of the car, and he's crawling up, and he's biting through the window, and he almost gets Regan on the head. And they want them to follow them because he's like honking the horn. In my head, it's La Cucaracha, but it isn't. It's just a horn. And he's beeping the horn, trying to get them to follow him. And they escape. They get to the radio station. They're opening the doors.
Why would you stand next to a half-open garage door like that?
Goes out like a chump, doesn't he? It's terrible.
This felt like a Samuel Jackson in Deep Blue Sea moment where it was quite unexpected. I felt.
Because he's a cool character. He's a badass, and like it didn't feel like it was his time to go. But then he starts talking about his kids. Lays in a bit of like extra heart wrenching. I need to find my kids, and then his legs gets swept out from under him, and then we don't know what happens. I think we hear him screaming.
Fucking hell!
Punch the vapor.
Yeah, eventually gets punched to vapor.
But yeah, it just gets him because he's worried about he's worried that they've driven too fast and it's lost and it's gone back to town, where his kids might be got. But in doing that, it gets him. Not before he hands over the keys though, and our guys get into the radio thing, the radio station for one last stealth section they're going to need to pass.
So is it pretty much in parallel that Evelyn returning to the factory and
she's
sort of
returning now and finds there's a ghoulie there. Meanwhile, the son and the baby are well on their way to suffocating.
Well, the baby is, because the boy's enjoying a load of delightful air.
Sucking up that oxygen.
Sucking up all the oxygen.
For some reason in my memory, that was all happening at night.
Yeah, it is. It's
yeah.
Oh, yeah, but the radio station's in the day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it isn't the day. It's all dark anyway because they're kind of underground.
It's definitely nighttime because she's out all night going to the shops. But the bit in the daytime is that it's the following morning. Maybe she walks through the night and it's night when she's walking back and she arrives back as day is breaking.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Possibly.
Yeah. But yeah, so Evelyn tries to bust out a couple of plans. She's got some. She hasn't got a noise box to disable monsters, but she's got some weapons. So she uses their other weakness of she explodes him with an oxygen cylinder. She fires a gun to get the monster's attention and get him away from the son and the baby. She blows it up with an oxygen tank, but they are fireproof, unfortunately. So now she's going to have to decide which one of her kids she wants to give that oxygen tank to. Now she's only got one left. And she only promised Emmett he could have one like that, Emmett. Promised her son he could have one if she had two.
Oh, you promised me I could have one. I want one. I will not say I want one. Naughty boy. Give it here.
You've had yours. You've been sucking this one. Trying yours.
Yeah, the baby loves it. The baby don't even like air. All right. The baby's crying.
Why do you think he lives in a coffin?
Yeah, for God's sake.
But yeah, that that doesn't defeat the monster, but it does set the sprinklers off, which gives her the distraction of the water noise to be able to. Does she sneak past it, or does she do something else to distract it at this point?
I think she I can't remember really. Sneak past it. Sounds about right. And she gets in there and they all hide in a little bunker.
She puts the towel in though.
Yeah. Towelly. Yeah.
She puts the towel in. Puts the towel in.
This needs to happen in parallel with the stuff at the radio station because obviously it works out nicely to sum that up. So yeah, in the radio station, I mean, it pretty much looks like Emmett's pretty much dead at one point, doesn't it? Because it's in there with him.
Yeah, they're really, really stuck. And I guess you also have to be pretty careful because if it busts up the radio equipment, then your plan is knackered anyway.
Yeah.
But we have a really tense climbing through the window scene, followed by Regan he lifts her up and puts her through the window, but a foot touches some papers and some cassettes almost on the floor. Yeah, that was your heart is in your mouth watching it. You're like, no. But it's okay. But then the door's really creaky, so Emmett kind of gets a semi-thumping.
He gets his legs all cut up or something.
Yeah. But then Regan comes out with her hearing aid, and she just manages to flip the radio to what's coming through. And
she just
it starts
hangs a hearing aid right there in front of the microphone. So the sound starts coming through. And she uses a sort of metal rod thing to just when it's open,
mic stand or something.
So she's disabling this
Iggy
one.
Pop.
She has it coming through there. We have the same situation where actually the monster in the steel mill has found them in the bunker. They open it to get a tiny bit of air in, and it breaks out, doesn't it? So they do the same thing. They go in there and they lock in, but they only have 2 minutes, so she has to open the door. And then it gets in and it's grabbing her by the leg as well. So some
Everyone's
more
getting their legs
there.
off.
Everyone's getting slightly scratched on the leg. Not slightly, it's a deep gash. I'm not being fair. But and then at the same time, Beyond the Sea is replaced by a right old din on the radio. So the son pulls his noise cancelling headphones out and then marches towards the disabled alien with the pistol that Evelyn has. This would be his perfect opportunity to do like a action movie one-liner, end of the line, bitch, and then shoot it. But he doesn't. He just shoots it.
I don't know if I believe 100% that he'd be capable of that. I don't think he's done anything in the movie to suggest that he'd be brave enough to, even
to
if he thinks,
point blank headshot an alien.
Yeah. I guess this is like... it would be good if he had his baseball bat and like this, and like she'd lined it up or something. And
that's signs. That's just the end of the signs.
Okay. Yeah, and if he'd said strike 3.
Yeah.
And then
you're out. Bitch.
Swing away.
The Freddy Krueger method. Make everybody a catchphrase for saying bitch at the end.
Everybody's had a good moment of killing one of these. Let the baby do it, I reckon. Let the baby be the one to pull the trigger.
Gets him and choke slams him. Sits up out of the coffin.
Gotta be like
Stone Far Driver, the bitch. And that's it.
Does that walk along the ropes bit where he jumps down?
Old school. Yes, and that's pretty much it. Like it ends with
a little bit quick, I thought.
Yeah.
Like it just seems to, I mean, I know there's no like anymore. Like they Emmett and Thingy have done the radio bit and then the credits roll. It doesn't seem to
there we go.
Stick around.
That's all we got left. I suppose they didn't want to go back and show the aftermath of what's happened on the island because, you know, a bit embarrassing, isn't it, really, for Emmett and Regan to walk back into that.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys. I know your way of life
is... them.
Yeah, I know your way of life has changed forever, and your leader, dude, is dead. But you know,
oh, sorry,
we're the leaders
kid in the
of the
cupboard
island now.
Your dad. He's not there.
He says, "I'm your dad now because I've lost a family recently."
I'm your dad now. Yeah. Do you think it'll be a Quiet Place Part 3?
Oh, I think possibly it's been confirmed. Has it been confirmed already?
Apparently John Krasinski didn't want to do number 2. Apparently he didn't even want to do this one, but like it was the only film he could get off the ground.
I think if you've got number 2, number 3 would possibly where everyone's alive and kick in. So
I would take it. I think I could go either way on this one. This ends well enough that you could say, yeah, you know, apart from some logistics of, do Regan and Emmett go and fetch them, or do they wait for their legs to get better and come and join them? And like, you know, that kind of stuff aside, it feels like you could leave it here and have a nice open. What they do next is their own business. I don't need to see it. I imagine fun things will happen. But if they did do more, I'd probably watch another one at this point.
Oh yeah,
I thought the characters were going to be reunited, so the fact that they weren't almost felt like it needed something else. But
yeah, maybe that's
whatever
what
that
I'm
means.
Thinking like they didn't have the reunited bit, so it did feel like it ended a bit early,
abruptly.
Okay, name game. Got a few names.
Let's get ready.
For you. Names. Prep your mind. Put on your thinking caps. The first one I saw was a film follows the Abbott family, who now faces terrors of the outside world, armed with only a musical instrument that they just need to plug into like a massive amp somewhere, and it will save the day. They've got some kind of musical instrument.
A quiet bass.
Quiet bass. Well done.
They use the infinite amplifier that Regan has.
Yeah. Someone I watched is about aliens who come to Earth and they kill anyone who doesn't follow a strict eating plan.
The diet. Oh, a diet place.
A diet place. Yep. Okay, we're getting into more difficult territory here. This one is basically the same as The Quiet Place, but it's not just a film. It's also like an interactive piece of footwear.
Interactive piece of footwear.
Yeah. I mean, it's a film, but it's also an interactive piece of footwear.
Shit. I got nothing for you. Give me a clue.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I mean, it's a piece of footwear.
A shoe?
Yeah.
A shoe place.
A Quiet Place Part Shoe.
Oh. The interactive bit got me too much. I'm like thinking of a shoe with like fucking buttons on it and
Yeah.
little...
You'll do better. You'll do better on this next one, I promise you. So basically, same as A Quiet Place, but it's not just a film. It's also somewhat something of an interactive boat.
A Quiet Place part
boat.
part canoe.
Part canoe. A Quiet Place Part canoe. Well done.
Yes.
Only had 4.
My greatest moment on this podcast.
I can throw one out for you if you wanted to round up to a 5, Luke.
Yeah.
Gonna play one. So actually in this film I saw recently, there's no monsters. It's just about a young family and their struggles to communicate with a flat fish that just won't talk.
A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place, correct.
I got one.
Come on, then.
Same with this one. There are no monsters, but they're being the Abbott family being stalked by a Russian feminist protest punk rock band.
What is that? A Russian feminist?
Yeah, unfortunately.
If you don't know who this band are, then you won't get this. But
yeah, my Russian feminist punk rock band's knowledge is limited.
They're probably like the only Russian feminist protest punk rock band, based in
a Pussy Riot place.
Yeah, you got it.
Russian.
You got it.
Well done.
Well done.
Cool. Good job, everyone.
We need to rate the film.
Yeah. Anybody want to jump in?
Well,
you go.
I really liked it. I think apart from the logistics we talked about, I think it's just a really solid made film that I just really enjoyed watching. And I'm actually quite looking forward to watching it again. And I'd be very curious to watch a third movie. I'm going with a straight A.
Oh, baby. Well, didn't see that coming. But there we go. You liked it. What about you, Andy?
I really liked it. It was really good, incredibly tense, great, incredibly watchable. I agree with your Letterboxd reviewer, not the one that didn't like it, the one that thought it was a great film to see at the cinema. I think as we're actually talking about things as they're coming out at the moment, if this has left you with any desire left to see it, because we have gone through it blow for blow, if spoilers don't bother you and you haven't already seen it, then it's worth seeing it at the cinema. Like I think it's worth really taking in the atmosphere and the silence in the dark room that you get here. I think that's a perfect environment for it. You're never going to get that same experience in your house where there's your ambient noise. So yeah, watch it at the cinema if you can. Really, really enjoyable. I would either top this off as a great standalone film, or indeed watch another one.
It's also got me thinking. Oh, sorry.
No, you go. Yeah, tell me thinking, and I'll give you the number afterwards. It'll give me time to moderate.
Random thought. It made me quite excited about the Last of Us TV show. I think if they can capture this post-apocalyptic vibe quite well here, so it's just a really random thought just popped in there.
No, that's right. Like if anything, cast Cillian Murphy, get him a part in it, get him in there.
Yeah, it's Pascal, isn't it, who's playing Joel?
Yeah,
be good.
Just have him as a guy that they meet.
Yeah.
I am torn. Do I go B+ to make sure that I've already accommodated for, toning down after I'm not so excited because I haven't seen it really recently, or do I go A-? I'm going to go A-. Let's go with your gut. An A- for me. It's really good.
Guys,
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's incredibly, incredibly watchable and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I think so. As I mentioned, I didn't really like the first one much at all. So I was really happy that I enjoyed this one because it felt like an idea that had a hell of a lot of potential, and I felt like so much was executed better. And yeah, it's a great movie to watch in the cinema as well. I enjoyed the cinema experience of this. And it just got a lot more right, like the rules of the world, the threat from the aliens and the human relationships as well. I don't know, as I said, I just felt a lot more invested this time around, and I think I agree with you. Like, thinking of it did remind me of The Last of Us, and probably does make me a lot more hyped for the TV show as well. I don't think I'm going to go for A territory, but I think I'll go for a B. I don't know if I just go for a straight B. I'll go for a B plus. Let's be nice. Let's be nice to this film, because I think we were pretty mean about the first one. Deserved it, but but yeah, B plus, I'd say.
Cool.
You've done it, John. You've made a film that's a sequel that isn't necessarily a trilogy, which has surpassed the original.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe I don't think any of us would argue that, right? I don't think any of us would go, oh no, I still like the first one a bit more. And I think it's the second one for all of us.
Definitely surpasses the original, 100%.
I think it is. Yeah.
So good work. Good work, John, if you're listening, and we know you are.
The Office is one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. So it's very, very nice to see John Krasinski, Jim Halpert, grow up and do bigger and cooler stuff. Although The Office is, I don't know if you can beat that, really. Yeah.
What's next week?
Next week, it's Pieces. Yeah, which is on the Arrow Player, which I cannot recommend.
Is it?
Or I could
recommend. Can't legally recommend, but you could.
All right, there we go. 30-day trial all over that for Pieces. So it's a cult slasher movie, and we're gonna have a special guest. Alice Taylor Matthews is coming back. She joined us for the Basket Case episode. I guess a few months. How long ago was that? A few months ago.
Basket Case is going to be longer ago than you think, isn't it? It's going to be early this year.
Yeah, so that'd be good.
Really?
Another fatal 4-way of us discussing that would be absolutely flipping lovely.
Oh, it'd be good.
I've heard it's a really bonkers film.
It'd be good to have Alice on, especially for an 80s slasher.
Yeah.
Basket Case episode was October 2020. So not that long ago, really. But still, 8 months. That's long enough, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, become a patron over at patreon.com/HawkandCleaver. Thanks to Kovac Kalman for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. If you enjoyed the show, go to give us a rating and review in iTunes, and also head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. And yeah, thanks to my co-host for being Right Horror Dudes.
Thank you very much, Luke. Thank you very much, Andy. Pleasure as always.
Thank you both for having us. See you soon.
Bye.
See you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.